to be approachable. In some companies, the company policy stipulates that you call everybody by their first name, regardless of age or position. That is what the company policies say. And especially multinational companies, modern workplaces where hierarchy is deliberately played down, the idea is that you should be able to speak to your boss. You should be able to challenge an idea and have a conversation without feeling intimidated by the person's title, by the person's age, or the position that they occupy. But does informality automatically mean disrespect?
I don't know. I'm not the judge. You be the judge and the jury. At this point, a lot of calls have come to say, not necessarily, and that's probably why this particular moment has generated so much conversation. The young woman may not have intended any disrespect at all if you listen to that clip. She may simply have felt comfortable addressing him by his first name, or perhaps an adopted culture that she's now gotten used to. Or maybe it's a culture where she's coming from, right? All of these are possibilities to why she actually did call him by his first name.
And maybe it's one of those organizations where the policy actually stipulates that you can actually do that. And let's now look at the response of Tony Elumelu himself. He didn't turn it into a confrontation. He simply clarified that, this is how I would prefer to be addressed. And that distinction is important. Sometimes respecting someone's preference is enough. It also raises another question about Nigerian workplaces. Should employees automatically know the appropriate way to address senior executives, or should organizations make those expectations clear, especially when they bring together young graduates from different backgrounds and cultures? Because what is considered normal in one environment, we cannot exactly speak to perhaps our upbringing and our training, where maybe things like this is totally normal. But in another environment, it might be completely inappropriate. In one office, calling your managing director Tony, your CEO, Tony, might be perfectly acceptable. In another, you might be expected to say Mr. Elumelu, sir, chairman, boss, whichever one it is. And perhaps the real lesson here is simple. Before you assume that someone is comfortable with informality, find out how they want to be addressed.
Especially when you find yourself in Nigeria. What does the culture here say? I mean, even if you're used to a culture where you're coming from, but when they say, when you're in Rome, you behave like the Romans now. So you're in Nigeria, you are in Nigeria, you should already know that, we love to go by, even when you highlighted the companies who go by the laws to say address by first name, they still come back and tell you the underlying rule, the unwritten rule that says, even though our book says address by first name, you should also not now address by first name. So directly and indirectly telling you.
There may be some exceptions. What do you mean, Tony? Tony Bao. Well, speaking of young Nigerians making an impression, there's also another story about how one young Nigerian addressed a prominent, figure. It's about whether another Nigerian, has actually created something important. And it is 20-year-old Khalifa Aminu, who is getting attention at the moment for developing smart glasses designed to help visually impaired people move around more independently. Is it just an idea on paper? He has actually built and tested a working prototype. And there's something particularly interesting about this one, Marian. He didn't begin with some sophisticated laboratory or a huge technology company behind him. He started developing the glasses in 2023 using locally sourced components, including ultrasonic and infrared sensors.
I mean, the idea was relatively simple. Instead of a visually impaired person depending entirely on a walking stick or another person to know what is in front of them, the glasses could detect obstacles and alert the person who is wearing the set glasses now. And he actually tested the early version with a visually impaired man in his community. That is important because the person using the invention now was able to tell what worked and what didn't. Talk about practice now, practical terms now. And apparently, the feedback changed the invention. The early version used beeping sound to alert the user, but after testing, Aminu moved towards clearer vision prompts, made the hardware smaller, and added wireless controls. Talk about upgrade. And I mean, this is coming in on the back of where we talk about we are not doing a lot of production. We are not doing a lot of manufacturing. When you see things like this, what comes to mind is China. You know, the Chinese are doing this, but this is a Nigerian young champ who is doing this and should be very much encouraged. And now the latest version takes things even further. His Glass V2 incorporates artificial intelligence and camera tracking, giving the wearer more information about the environment than simply knowing that there is an obstacle somewhere around. So rather than just understanding what's in front of you, you understand even your environment at large. So the glasses also combine sensors and GPS. So according to Aminu, they can detect objects, help the user avoid obstacles, and provide location information. So if the wearer gets lost, the GPS system can help a caregiver locate them with the location sent to a phone through platforms such as WhatsApp and email. Quite interesting and very fascinating now.
Very fascinating, Marian. Sometimes we talk about innovation as if it must come from Silicon Valley or from a massive research facility somewhere in Europe or Asia. But this is a young Nigerian working on a solution to a problem that exists right here. Interestingly, his work has now attracted institutional attention. The National Commission for Persons with Disabilities invited him to Abuja to demonstrate the technology and explore its potential for local production. Which brings us to the next question. What happens after the viral moment? Building one prototype is one thing. Making these glasses affordable, reliable, and available to thousands of visually impaired Nigerians is a completely different challenge. There's going to be need for proper testing, funding, engineers, accessibility experts, and on and on and on. But what Khalifa Aminu has shown is that you don't necessarily need to wait for somebody to come from anywhere else with solution to what is a Nigerian problem.
Right, but then Aminu is still developing it. He's working on an AI voice and an AI voice component that could allow the glasses to actually speak to the user and describe what it's around them. I'm very sure at the point it will be in English, but then as it goes on and on, it might not be in languages that even Nigerian people here can understand. We do hope that this very one discovery, it's not left alone just for Aminu. I hope we do get a positive response to see this being, like you said, make it available and even more affordable.
Absolutely.
But from that fascinating story of Aminu and that of the young lady who spoke to Tonia Elumelu, I'm pretty sure she learned her lessons now.
You mean Mr. Tony?
Oh, okay. Mr. Tony Elumelu. I'm very sure now that both the lady and Mr. Tony understand that. But there's been some backlash as well. But you see them online. It's gone viral. But right now, we turn our attention from these stories to the front pages of the dailies. What stories made it to the headline? We'll find out just a moment. Welcome back. It's still the morning edition right here on Real Broadcasting Network. We now turn our attention to the front pages of the newspaper. Which stories made it to the front page, which is trending? But quickly punch in right now. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have states get special 435 billion naira for security infrastructure. Governors hail Tinubu for supporting states to tackle challenges. Gombe, Lagos, Ondo, Enugu lead beneficiaries of FAC Special Intervention Fund. Special Intervention Fund meant for security project roads. Those are the stories you'll find, or the leading story now on the front page of the Punch newspaper. But still on the front page of the Punch, above the nameplate, UK citizens against travel to UK, warn citizens against travel to Borno, Yobe, and 9 others. Here we go again with the warnings from the United Kingdom, warning citizens against travel to Borno, Yobe, and 9 other states. Beside the nameplate, Tinubu, OPS, kick against Atiku's petrol subsidy push. Over 46 bodies recovered in Sokoto boat accident. EFCC, ICPC summon NFF official over 12 billion naira federal government fund. And the main picture on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have the governor, Eno, right there, of course, of Akwa Ibom and others at the grassroots LPG, as the flag of the grassroots LPG program in Akwa Ibom. As a major picture on the front page of the Punch. But any of these stories interest you, let us know your thoughts via the radio is 090-6202-9933.
All right, move on to the Vanguard newspaper now. Friday morning edition to look at what stories we do have there. All right, Christians killing. Why U.S. won't remove Nigeria's CPC tag. Why U.S. won't remove Nigeria's CPC tag, Congressman Moore. Nigerian government must protect Christian communities. We back U.S. over persecution and security crisis. That's Christian elders. Call for thorough investigation, prosecution of perpetrators. And of course, we have the picture of the door-to-door rally right there in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Fuel subsidy, Tinubu and Atiku battle. Subsidy restoration demonstrates ignorance on governance and economy. This is coming from the president. There's been a lot of back and forth. Atiku unveils new subsidy model to target cap, budget, track every barrel. But in fact, what Atiku has said is that if he becomes president today, he's going to remove, or he's going to bring back rather, the fuel subsidy, and the president has responded to all of that. And below that headline, Olu of Warri's 5th anniversary. It's about culture, homecoming, and empowerment. All right, and we have a couple of other headlines right here on the Vanguard newspaper. We'll try to also take a look at the inside pages, try to get a sense of what that paper is saying for today. But that's all we have for you on the Vanguard this morning. Don't forget the number to call is 0906-202-9933.
And from the Vanguard newspaper, we'll move it over to The Guardian. On the front page of The Guardian newspaper, it says, recipe for disaster, how poor regulation on hygienic practices worsen food safety crisis. That's one of the major stories on the front page of The Guardian newspaper. Recipe for disaster, how poor regulation on hygienic practices worsen food safety crisis. APC stakeholders group trade blame in Osun Gubo poll aftermath. Presidency. Atiku reignite fuel subsidy debate in 2027 campaign opener. Yesterday, while granting audience to the governor of Osun State, now re-elected governor, the president indeed said, I hear my opponents talking about bringing back subsidy. I mean, they do not understand the economics and all. That's some of the words the president did say, addressing these talks from Atiku reigniting fuel subsidy debate in this 27 campaign opener. Isesa Day, traditionalist rally federal government to tackle insurgency, banditry. Yesterday was declared a free working day in Lagos to celebrate this cultural day. State police panel begins draft bill, keeps pace with 7-week goal. Police, SON clamped down on fake calculators, seized 14,000 in Lagos raid. Ribadu hinges insecurity on proliferation of small arms. Following Adelabu orders absent as Iwada reconcile Oyo APC. 2027, back Obi to sack Tinubu. NDC charges Atiku as ex-VP rules out 2031 race. He said if he doesn't get the seat this time, he would sure not be running again after now. And then we have elections materials and pictures. Campaigns have started. Political parties, now churn out their election and the campaign materials now. Those pictures on the front page of The Guardian are also talking to some of the campaigns. You can let us know your thoughts. 090-6202-9933. 090-6202-9933. That's the number for you to dial to be part of the program this morning if you're listening to us via the radio. If you're live with us on our YouTube channel, it's the Real Broadcasting Network. or simply just search Remedia NG as well. You'll find a live broadcast, and the comment section is also open for you to leave us with your contribution. But we'll take your calls now. 090-6202-9933. If you also look inwards, the Guardian newspaper, you'd find how Nigeria's food safety crisis is fueled by weak regulation and poor hygiene, as that headline and the main story of the front page of the Guardian talks about a recipe for disaster now, how poor regulation on hygienic practices worsen food safety crisis. It's quite graphical on the inside of the Guardian, looking at about 200,000 deaths annually, $3.6 billion lost annually, massive economic loss, 20% of urban hospital admissions, and poisons in the food chain, raw food, toxic preservation, which is one of the discussions Nigerians have been having. There are those who have palm oil that's kept with some toxic chemicals in it. There are those who put some very chemicals to preserve even the crayfish as well. On the front page of the Guardian, you find that story, and when you look inward, you see the graphics of explaining sniper on meats. That's a raw meat. We have the cupboard for ripening of the fruits. We have rat poison on grains just to preserve them. We have red dye inside the palm oil, Sudan red dye inside the palm oil. We have excessive sugar and additives inside our flour. Processed goods, adulterated, and fraud. All of those are on the front, inside the graphics. The Guardian is trying to explain to us cooked and street food, speed cassava fermentation, paracetamol to tenderize the meats, detergents to soften the cassava before they process it for the gari. A lot is going on, and it's harming the health of Nigerians. And then this is how Nigeria's food safety crisis is fueled by weak regulation and poor hygiene. I mean, just yesterday we're having this discussion and highlighting all of this that some people use to preserve. I mean, you have detergents to speed cassava fermentation. Just why? When naturally you leave it up for days and it will be able to still ferment for you to be able to use later on. But we have some farmers who do that. It's causing some health damage now. We have those who put sniper inside the meat, use of harmful insecticide to preserve the meat, carbide for ripening, chemicals used on fruits, rat poison on grains, conservation during, storage, Sudan red dye in palm oil. We have that's the processed goods and adulteration and food and fraud now, excessive sugar and additives also. Then we have those street food sellers as well. Those are the ones putting paracetamol to soften the meat because they do not want to use more gas or more firewood to boil the meat. And then we have 20% of urban hospital admission directly linked to foodborne diseases now. And then you go ahead to eat and you find out that you have stomach pain and even food poisoning. We have 173 million cases of diarrhea each year. All of these concerns and on the Guardian. Good morning, CJ. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. CJ, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. My name is CJ.
All right, go ahead.
My sister. Yeah, you see, everybody is in here to make money. Nobody waits for appointed time. All of us are consuming chemicals. Can you hear me? Hello?
I guess we have a technical fix so that we can hear you in studio because we can't actually hear you in studio. So we'll try to reconnect with you so we can hear you in studio. Thank you. 09062029933. And then we have in recent times, the country has witnessed renewed public concern about the safety of the food that many citizens consume daily, from allegations of excessive sugar content in processed food to concerns about the quality and composition or some tomato paste products. The demand for greater transparency, stronger consumer protection, and stricter regulation is always present. Indeed, from bustling roadside vendor to upscale restaurants. Dr. Daramola, good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam.
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank God, Friday.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Before I start my own, today we start Premier League. So support your club. We'll see tomorrow. So my take is this: concerning the last news we read just now. People use cardboard. That one is been long time. They are using it to make sure they buy for something to ripe. So that's why you see today we are eating chemicals. Even in the farm, they use poisonous chemicals to feed their farm. So that is why you see heart failure today. You see cancer, influx of cancer. If you go to hospital today, you see different type of diseases. You can see that you see somebody in the morning, in the afternoon they say he fell down, he died. So all those things we are consuming, it has side effects. I don't know whether NAFDAC or government should rise up to occasion to beam their searchlight. Because the people that bandit kill remain, the people that Boko Haram kill remain, we use our hand to kill them by force. Is that how we supposed to do it? Which way Nigeria? And secondly, why America cannot remove Nigeria from the country of particular concern? Yes, the thing that is happening in our nation is an example. So when you have evidence, then you will cancel argument. So what is happening in our nation? Is it an economic or political situation? Are they really doing it the way they're supposed to do it? And another news is going on that we can. I don't know. I can't bail the cat, but it's before the American court of the district court. But there's no way you can hide the pregnancy. So we are all waiting for the outcome. So a lot of things happen in Nigeria that they bastardize our name. So we should try to correct our name. Good name is better than silver and gold. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Dr. Daramola, for your contribution. Yours can as well come in right now. It's 09062029933. The numbers are displayed on the screen when you connect with us live on our YouTube live broadcast. And now inside the Punch newspaper, Tinubu Adeleke in closed-door meeting at Aso Rock Villa. Now, the president received Osun State Governor yesterday at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa in Abuja. And, of course, arriving at the forecourt of the villa at exactly 5:25 p.m. as reported on the news inside the Punch. And, of course, the governor arrived alongside the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. It is his first meeting with the president since his re-election in his last Saturday governorship poll, where he actually won and now re-elected. Adeleke visit now has, also sparked a lot of reactions from Nigerians and even the Osun people. And in company of the governor to meet with the president, we have the Director General of Adeleke Campaign Council, Senator Larry, as well as a member of the council, Mr. Sunday BC, and just formally presenting the certificate of return to the president, where the president also made some remarks yesterday as well. We had that in the news, but we could bring that to you as well. The president talking to Governor Ademola Adeleke to, of course, the people have voted for you. In the president's words, God's wish was brought out for you to win, and the wish of your people as well. So go ahead and govern again. He spoke to one of the governors who has a nickname of half salary. And why can't you be able to pay salaries to people? We could bring you that moment, but that's also inside the Punch newspaper. If that story interests you, man, let us know your thoughts at this point. I mean, the sportsman is right beside me. EFCC, ICPC summoned NFF official over 12 billion naira fund, federal government fund. Ugochukwu, what's going on with the funds in the sports sector? Both World Cup, from the women, from the men, you lose out. And now, as a 12 billionaire, you guys need to...
Yeah, I think that is the reason why all of this is coming to the fore at the moment. Because in the light of recent developments where the Super Eagles failed to qualify for the World Cup, the Falcons failed to qualify for the World Cup, the Under-20, the Flying Eagles failed to qualify for the CAF Under-20 tournaments that's going to automatically, get them a qualification for the Under-20 World Cup. Our lower cadre teams also missing out on world tournaments. So what exactly?
Every level, every chain is losing
What exactly
out.
is going on? Because I mean, this is the basic. This is the least that you can do to make sure that these teams get to participate in world competitions. That's
Right.
the only way people are going to know that here in Nigeria we have a lot of talents. We have a lot of players, who can come to the world stage and give anybody a run for their money. But if you cannot even make it to the tournaments in the first place,
How do you show the world
so
you've
we
got
need to start
potential?
asking the right questions. Elder Noja joins us from Cuba. Good morning, Elder.
Good morning, my brother. God bless you. And bless
Hello,
all our
Elder. Good morning to you.
children. My beautiful daughter, good morning.
Morning to you. Elder Naja, my daddy.
Let me go straight to my point. Azik Onoja and then Dr. Daramola and the other greeting. My sister, both must have in Sokoto again. I don't know all the advice where we are giving to these people. They don't listen to us. Both load in the night. After 6 o'clock in the evening, a passenger boat not supposed to move in any water, whether sea or stream or this and this. All this is used to move with overloading. And then they have a police marine to monitor them. They have waterways security to monitor them. Where they load this boat, so there's any enforcement there to force them to reduce the number of editions. And then there's a sea trouble, water trouble. That water trouble, the pilot of the boat, we did not.
Do want to connect back with us again, Mr. Elder Noja, with your contribution. I mean, that story is also on the Punch newspaper. He is reacting to over 46 bodies recovered in Sokoto boat accidents. Now, this is not the first time we've heard about boats capsizing in the state, and we also have at least 46 bodies so far have been recovered following the boat accident in Gura community in Sokoto State. The State Police Command confirmed. CJ. Good morning, CJ.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Better. Thank you for reconnecting.
Yes, Ugochukwu is asking what is happening now in a sport field in Nigeria. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, CJ. Go ahead.
Yes, Ugochukwu is supposed to know that when the head is rotty, it will affect the whole body. It will affect the whole body. No any Nigeria system now is healthy. Sport can never be a difference. You understand? So when you affect the head, it will affect the whole body. We never find it difficult in a sport arena under this in Nigeria, because under this APC, nothing is going on. Nothing is going on under this APC. Since 2015, Nigeria never go World Cup. Is it not a calamity to show us that our government under APC is very bad? It's giving off the bad bad name in the international arena. So no ask what is going on. What is going on now is that Nigeria is finding it difficult, both any aspect of life. That is my take. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution, CJ. And it's not the first time this has happened. I do not want it to happen again. But confirming the incident, the spokesperson of the Sokoto State Police Command, DSP Ahmed Rufai, said 46 corpses had been recovered while 15 passengers were rescued alive. Rufai said rescue operations were still ongoing, with security agencies and emergency responders searching for remaining passengers. According to him now, the rescue team comprises local divers, officials of the National Emergency Management Agency, the State Agency Management Agency, and the police as well. But you recall, just months ago in July, not even far off, we had incidents involving female agricultural worker in Jigawa the other day. We saw the story of a boat capsize in Yobe. In January this year, there was a leakage in a boat that caused it to capsize. And then in Niger State, we also have these issues as well. I mean, What is the permanent solution to avoid all of this death? It's very worrying. But then we do hope that, according to the spokesperson now, search team are still out there to find more of the bodies now. But what is the lasting solution? You can let us know your thoughts as well. And then that's the incident in Sokoto presidency. Now from the African Democratic Congress presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar yesterday came under attacks over his plan to restore petrol subsidy if he wins the general elections. That's the presidential election now. But while the presidency and the organized private sector faulted the proposed policy reversal, the Nigeria Labour Congress was divided over Atiku's plan to restore the petrol subsidy, which President Bola Tinubu removed during his inaugural address in 2023.
We have Bishop on the line who joins us from Kefi. Good morning, Bishop.
Bishop, how are you this morning? How is
Very
everything?
well. Very well. Thank you for joining us.
Well, on the issue of sport, I'm a sport lover and I'm also a sport person. I do karate and I've gone around Nigerians. Truly, what is killing our sport institution in this country today is about motivation. As an athlete, you are going for a competition. You are putting hope that you are going to win something there. And there should be a promise coming from your leaders, either from your coaches, from your state government, or from the federal government. By the time you go there and you realize that your opponent has been promising or has been promised what is more than what your own leaders have promised you, and that your opponent happened to win, your leaders have to learn a lesson from there. The next competition, they should do more so that you will have that spirit of performance. But they will not do it to me. As for me, I can't enter a ring when somebody has been promised 2 million naira and somebody is giving me 200,000. I won't kill myself. But if you promise me 3 million and they promise the other opponent 2 million, I can do whatever it takes to say that I win that competition. And I will have love for my state or my leaders. No motivation. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Bishop. Well-made point there. And of course, the recent probe by the ICPC and the EFCC is on the utilization of a 12 billion naira fund, which was released to the NFF for players' wages, allowances, and bonuses. Now, during the last WAFCON, at a point in the competition, there was a certain controversy involving promises that were made by the government to the players. The players were now saying, look, we've not received any of these monies that were promised to us. And it got to the point where the chairman of the National Sports Commission, spoke and said, look, before the end of so and so day, you're going to see the money in your bank account. Only for the players to come the next day to start talking about non-payment of some of those bonuses. And even in the last AFCON, that was won by Senegal. Of course, Nigeria had gotten to the semi-final where we played Morocco. You saw some of what played out, where at a point during the competition as well, there were talks of unpaid allowances, unpaid bonuses, salaries that were supposed to have been cleared that were not cleared. And even the penultimate AFCON, the one where the captain of the side, Troost Ekong, had retired immediately, and some people have credited, some of the issues that have happened, to some of those controversies to say that is what might have led to his retirement. And I mean, the saga just goes on and on and on. What is the EFCC? What is the ICPC going to unearth in the course of their investigation as to the utilization of this 12 billion naira intervention fund from the government that should have been channeled to the payment of players' salaries and now allowances and bonuses? But away from that, to the fuel subsidy, the Tinubu and Atiku battle that is going on at the moment. Now, the president says subsidy restoration demonstrates ignorance on governance and economy. And that statement is directed to Atiku, who has now unveiled a new subsidy model to target, cap, budget, and track every barrel. President Bola Tinubu and the presidential candidate of the ADC, Atiku Abubakar, disagreed over the return of the fuel subsidy. Atiku said he was going to bring it back. And Tinubu said Atiku was demonstrating ignorance about governance and the economy in his call. And of course, this was why he was receiving Governor Demola Adeleke of Osun State at the presidential villa yesterday. Well, what are your thoughts on some of these exchanges between Atiku and Mr. President? Let us know on 0906 202 9933. And of course, the issue of the Christian killings is also on the front burner. Why US won't remove Nigeria's CPC tag, coming from Congressman Moore, says Nigerian government must protect Christian communities and we back US over persecution and security crisis. This is coming from Security Elders. Let's take you to the New Telegraph very briefly to take a look at some of the headlines we have there as well. On the New Telegraph this morning, don't travel to Imo, Castina, 9 other Nigerian states. UK warn citizens. Cautions against all but essential travel to parts of 19 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Well, for people who are already planning for December parties and Owambe, how does this story come across to them? An advisory from the UK warning their citizens, don't travel to Imo, Castina, and 9 other Nigerian states. U.S. national debt passes $40 trillion. Just in case you were wondering if Nigeria is the only country that owes money in the world. 47 dead as boat capsizes in Sokoto. Details on page 29 of New Telegraph. Ayedatiwa appoints 1,004 aides, picks commissioners, and 3 advisors. That's the governor of Ondo State, Lucky Ayedatiwa. You want to pick yourself a copy of that paper for more on that story. 2027, Okorocha sues INEC and APC over Imo West Senate ticket. Asks court to declare him APC senatorial candidate. And of course, we're ready for battle of ideas in Imo East. And that's a very interesting scenario playing out there because it's the same senatorial district of the governor, Hope Uzodinma. And Okorocha is suing INEC and the APC over the Imo West Senate ticket. Osun Guba pursue unity, reconciliation. Tinubu tells Adeleke. Pursue unity and reconciliation. Tinubu tells Adeleke. 2027. Build on success of Osun poll. Opposition leaders tell INEC and Tinubu as a commission says it will improve on conduct of election. Youth recruitment for political violence won't be tolerated. IGP warns. A lot of conversations to be had on the sidelines of the Osun governorship election. Now, there's always something on the New Telegraph with regards to health. And this one says, intensive unpaid caregiving linked to mental health risk. Intensive unpaid caregiving linked to mental health risk. Is coming from a study. Well, what's that all about? And there's Tinubu spreading opportunities across overburdened communities. This is coming from Vice President Kashim Shettima, who in fact, in company of Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Professor Ngozi Odu, and Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Dagogo Wokema, during the commissioning of the Elele Gbeda Omoko dual carriageway in Rivers State yesterday. Well, that's some of the headlines on the New Telegraph this morning. What are your thoughts? 0906 202 9933. We have only but a small window before we wrap things up on the newspaper review this morning, Marian.
Now, during the inauguration of a 12 four-bedroom terrace duplex for permanent secretaries and presentation of 12 official vehicles to newly appointed permanent secretaries in Asaba, the state capital of Delta State, the governor, Sheriff Oborewori, made some comments now where he said that when the permanent secretary said that most of the directors are receiving almost the same thing with them, we increase their money. Today, permanent secretaries, your salary is 900,000, while the governor says his salary is 503,000 naira. Head of service is 1 million. But he said something that caught a lot of attention and said, so some of them don't want their husbands to know how much they are receiving. And then they say, what of the wives? Good morning to you, Mr. GB.
My name is GB.
GB from Live Camp, if you can hear us.
Yes, quick one.
All right.
Atiku say he want to remove FEP subsidy. We are waiting for him to come and tell us what we do about it. Removing FEP subsidy, how will the private refinery operate? Number two, if you remove FEP subsidy and you only remove 200 naira, 300 naira, it will have no effect on the cost of living, on the inflation. And you remove FEP subsidy, and you want to come and borrow and print naira to come and pay for a subsidy, you are adding salt to injury. So let me come and explain to us. If it doesn't take the first price to 200 naira, the populace will not feel the effect. It will be effort in futility. You just want to play to the gallery. I believe that this one is failure on arrival because for over 10 years, he has preached against first subsidy. What magic now? What has he seen now? That now say, oh, I will restore it back. Check the trajectory of his campaign. Right. 2019, he has been saying first subsidy should go. There is a scam. Will it turn back the scam? We are waiting for them.
Thank you for your
much.
contribution, GB. We'll wrap up Newspaper Review right now with Mr. and Mrs. As promised yesterday, we're going to deliver. Of course, we would have to deliver our own unit, even though it's not the polls. Mr. and Mrs. this morning on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. I guess Mrs. is going first. Mrs. says, other men call their wives pet names like honey pie, cupcake, muffin, pumpkin, etc. But you made us a laughing stock, Mr. back there. Why would you do that?
Well, Mrs., I've never eaten honey pie. or any of the rest you called before. So what's wrong with calling you my pounded yam?
What? You are not from Ekiti. The last time I checked, Mister, even though you went there to cover the election, doesn't make you an Ekiti man. But you could have just, in anticipation of eating the honey pie. I can only
speak to things I've experienced, yes?
So it's only pounded yam Mrs. has given to you?
Well, if you want me to call you some of those other names, you will have to start serving me, what did you call it? Honey pie?
Yes.
Muffin, pumpkin. Well, you have to make all of those available.
Anyways, that's Mr. and Mrs. for you on Vanguard newspaper this morning. Many thanks for being part of the newspaper review. And our first commentary is up next right after the news. You don't want to miss our commentary this morning because it's, of course, looking at the election. Of course, campaigns have started. Let's understand what's going on, what the Nigerian people should be looking at for in their candidates as they run to the polls. Don't go nowhere. A first bulletin for the day is up next to Sufyan and Stamba in the newsroom. When we return, we'll look at the Presidential National Assembly campaign season, which is now on. Stay tuned.
Every street has a story. Every struggle carries hope. Every dream deserves a voice. We walk where the people walk. We honor our culture. We tell the stories that matter. This is your voice, your network. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
Jesus. My brother, see road now. If na Lagos na traffic, we don't do. No go anywhere. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. My brother, na city gate be this. Where you go see before you enter Abuja. If you enter Abuja and you never see this city gate, my brother, na Cameroon you dey. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. My brother, Abuja life too soft. After work like this, now here I dey come sit down. Then they see fine things that will be sonorous in my spirit. Now why I love Abuja be this? Unity for inside the diversity. Now waiting they take no Abuja for. Now why I love Abuja. You see this place my back? Luxury on another level. You feel the waka inside. You don't know who you go meet who will change your life. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. But the real reason will make me like Abuja. Now because of real 99.3, where if you say, who they choke mouth on top of real talk, and real people, and all of us go gather together to take for choke mouth on top of real matter.
We know that you can't always wait for the news at the top of the hour. Don't worry, we got you. Check out the latest news headlines. This
This is Real 993. Time check is 7 a.m. From our global news center, we bring you the latest happenings on the Real News.
God put me here.
This is the Arabian News Hour from the Real Broadcasting Network. I am Sufyan Ibrahim, and here are the top stars. Osun State's Governor Ademola Adeleke has presented his certificate of return to President Bola Tinubu following a closed-door meeting at the Aso Rock Villa in Abuja. Speaking during the meeting, President Bola Tinubu urged Governor Adeleke to promote reconciliation, unity, peace, and stability in the state.
Yeah. God put me here. Where you are today, God put you there. Not the smartness of any of these people. It's just their support, not their smartness. It's the wish of God that prevailed and the wish of the people followed. And you are in a very, very unique position to make history. Yes, sir. Promote unity, peace, and stability.
Adeleke received a certificate of return from INEC following his victory in the August 15 Osun governorship election. The governor has also announced plans to establish a 500 million naira endowment fund for victims of election violence. The 2026 Osun State governorship election may be over, but the Kimpact Development Initiative says the poll has exposed important gaps that must be addressed before the 2027 general elections. At its post-election press conference, the organization presented findings from its observation across all 30 local government areas. Arabian correspondent Paul Liamgun reports.
KDI deployed 370 accredited observers across all 30 local government areas and 1,660 polling units. Its assessment found that election materials arrive in good condition at 98% of observed polling units, while accreditation and voting commenced before KDI's 8:45 a.m. benchmark in 74.5% of locations. But technology remained a concern.
BVAS successfully processed accreditation in 84.9% of observed cases, implying a 15.1% observed failure rate.
KDI also identified voter inducement as a continuing concern, with reports of cash and other forms of inducement across the state. The organization recorded 17 verified election-related violence incidents involving more than 44 victims, while also commending security agencies for maintaining order in most locations.
Security agencies play a central role in protecting voters, election officials, and election materials.
Despite the identified challenges, KDI says the election remained broadly peaceful compared with the pre-election period, while recognizing the resilience and commitment of Osun voters.
The credibility of an election also depends on the freedom of voters to make their choices, the consistent application of electoral rules, the professionalism of electoral and security personnel.
From the destination hotel, the venue KDI post-election assessment here in Abuja, the message is clear. While the election was largely peaceful, the process still exposed areas requiring improvement. KDI is now calling for stronger electoral technological accountability and institutional preparedness ahead of the 2027 general election. Reporting from the destination hotel by Gidanka, Paul Liamgun, RBN News.
Now to security. The FCT Police Command has intensified operations against traffic robbers, armed robbery suspects, kidnappers, and other criminals across the capital. The Commissioner of Police, Ahmed Sanusi, says 10 traffic robbers have been arrested, while 20 suspects, including children, were apprehended for various traffic offences and charged to court. The police also arrested 2 suspects linked to armed robbery and recovered 5 motorcycles, 3 knives, and other exhibits. 3 kidnapped victims were equally rescued unharmed and without ransom. And that is the Arabian News Hour. Thank you for staying with us on the Real Broadcasting Network. Stay informed with more stories on our website at www.therealmediang.com. Also download the Arabian app on Google Play Store and Apple Store for iOS devices. You can also follow us across all social media platforms at The Real Media NG for real-time updates and in-depth coverage. I am Sufyan Ibrahim. Over to the Morning Edition crew. Please stay tuned.
From our global news center, we bring you the latest happenings on the real news.
Every street has a story. Every struggle carries hope. Every dream deserves a voice. We walk where the people walk. We honor our culture. We tell the stories that matter. This is your voice, your network. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
Glad to know you're still with us right here on the Morning Edition on the Real Broadcasting Network. Now, we'll turn attention to our first commentary. Yesterday officially marked, of 19th of August, officially marked the beginning of the 2027 Presidential and National Assembly campaign season. And this is where the conversation becomes a little more serious because for months now, we've been watching the political calculation, the defections, the alliances, the consultation, and all of the positioning. But now, technically, the campaign has begun officially. Let's hit the ground running with the campaigns. That's the language now from all political parties. The politicians can now come out and ask Nigerians directly for their vote. And that is an important distinction now because Nigerian politics has arguably been in campaign mode for quite some time now, even before now. So we have seen politicians traveling, holding meetings, making declarations, and building alliances long before 19th of August. But 19th of August officially when campaign started.
Well, that means we have roughly 5 months of intense political messaging ahead of us. It's going to run until the 15th of January. And I think the question Nigerians should be asking, we all should be asking, is what exactly are we going to be hearing for the next 5 months? Because if you listen to political conversations already, there's a lot of talk about who is going to defeat President Bola Tinubu, who is going to emerge as the strongest opposition candidate. Which party has the structure? Which politician has the wider following? But somewhere underneath all of that, there's supposed to be a conversation about the country. And if you're even going to throw into the mix a conversation around a possible alliance among the ranks of the opposition, you will not be far away from the truth. Now, elections should ultimately be a contest of ideas and records. And at the starting point for the ruling APC is very clear. President Tinubu is seeking another term, and his campaign will have to defend the record of his administration since 2023. The government will point to its reforms, which they have already started to do, increased revenue, investment infrastructure, and what it describes as foundations that are being laid for a stronger economy. But what will the opposition be saying, Marian?
But the opposition will obviously tell Nigerians to look at the other side of that story because you cannot talk about the Tinubu administration without talking about the cost of the reforms, which this current administration have been hammering on. We know the cost is quite expensive and painful, but they are necessary, painstaking decision to make. The removal of the petrol and the subsidy, the changes to the foreign exchange system, inflation, the pressure on household income, food prices, transportation, the cost of living, these are not abstract economic indicators for Nigerians. These are things people are experiencing every single day of their lives.
And that is why I think the 2027 election is going to be very interesting because the government can say, look, we inherited structural problems and difficult reforms had to be made. The opposition can say, fine, but after 3 years, what has actually changed for the average Nigerian? And both arguments are going to be placed before the electorate. They may both be making a lot of sense with their arguments, but it's now left for the electorate themselves to make the decision.
And even the electorate itself has changed since 2023. People have lived through these reforms. They have seen the Naira move. They have seen petrol prices change. They have watched the cost of food rise. They have adjusted their businesses and households. So when politicians now come asking for another mandate, Nigerians are not hearing these policies for the first time. They are judging them based on experience, based on their record.
And in fact, that experience could become the biggest issue of this election, because the administration's argument is essentially that some of the pain is part of a transition, that the reforms are producing stronger government finances and greater investor confidence. But the voter does not necessarily measure an economy, the way an investor does. An investor may look at improved exchange liquidity or government revenue and say, yes, this is progress. But a Nigerian who goes to the market discovers for himself that the same amount of money now buys significantly less food. A young person looking for a job is not necessarily thinking about investor confidence. There's a family paying rent, school fees, all thinking about whether their income can survive another month.
And security will also be at the forefront alongside the economy now, because regardless of what political party you support, insecurity remains one of the issues Nigerians are watching closely. People want to know whether they can travel safely. In the papers now, we've seen the UK say about 10 or 12 states have been said to not travel to. What is the reason for that conversation out there, or for that announcement or advisory out there? Because of insecurity. Can farmers return to their farms? Can businesses operate without fear? And can families now sleep without worrying about kidnapping or attacks? Can you hit the road any time of day without properly calculating how much you have in your account in case a ransom is called upon? So all of these issues are what Nigerians are looking forward in their individuals. So the APC, we have to campaign on its record. What have they done? What can you see that they have done? Not just saying what they've done, but what can you see that they have done? But then you have the opposition. That brings us to perhaps one of the biggest questions around 27. Can the opposition actually organize itself into a convincing alternative?
That is the billion naira question, Marion.
Right. If you look at the current administration, APC now, and what they said they have done, and what you can see that they have done, do you want to go by that? And then if you look at the opposition, what does the opposition have to offer you that is way better, not just good, not just better, but way better than what you currently have now? If the opposition come into power, can you go to the market and the cost of food is going to be reduced? Can you go to the petrol pump and you get fuel without queuing and the price of petrol will be reduced? So Nigerians are caught between the choices now.
Well, dissatisfaction with a government, it does not automatically produce a successful opposition. You need structure, you need organization. Some people might even go as far as saying you need alliances. You need the candidates that different groups are willing to support. And perhaps most importantly, you need people who are prepared to put their individual political ambitions aside for a broader objective. Let's put it into perspective. The opposition space is crowded. Atiku Abubakar now with the ADC, Peter Obi contesting under NDC. And there are other presidential candidates, Sandy Ono of the PDP, Donald Duke of the PRP, Gbenga Hashim, Adeola Adebayo, and of course, Shore, a whole lot of them. And there have been conversations about an alliance. But conversations about an alliance and actually building one are two different things.
Right. But because somebody has to step back.
Exactly. And that is perhaps where things even become complicated.
Very complicated, because it is very easy for politicians to agree that the country needs a different direction. It is much easier to say the words, but it's harder for them to agree on who should lead the direction. If you agree to say the country needs a new direction, then who should lead the direction? Is it you, or must it be you, or are you ready to support someone to lead that direction? Who becomes the presidential candidate? Who gets the vice presidential slots now?
Which party?
Which party provides the platform? How are the different political and political interests accommodated? And then you have supporters who have spent years building emotional and loyal support around some particular candidates now.
Well, 2023 already showed us what happens when major opposition forces remain divided. You had Bola Tinubu, Atiku, and Peter Obi pulling significant support from different parts of the electorate. The result was a highly competitive election in which the winning candidates did not receive anything close to a majority of the total votes cast. And that history is still relevant because the opposition understands that mathematics matters. You have millions of Nigerians who perhaps are unhappy with the government, but if the votes are divided among several candidates, the incumbent can still emerge victorious.
Really? But if you look at it from the incumbent to the opposition, which of the parties or candidates actually appeal to the ordinary Nigerian who will get to the polls to vote? Which means the opposition has two jobs. One is to convince Nigeria that the government has not done enough. The other is to convince those same Nigerians that it has a credible alternative. And which is the alternative now? Is it which of the party or which of the candidates are you going with now? Is Nigerian people going to vote for candidacy this time or for party this time? And that second part is also where I think the campaign, now becomes more interesting, because Nigerians deserve to hear more than Tinubu has failed, APC has failed, or Tinubu has succeeded, APC has succeeded. What is the alternative? If you're going to reverse a policy, how exactly are you going to do it? If you're promising a stronger Naira, how are you doing that? If you're promising cheaper food, where is the production coming from? How are you making sure that the food is cheaper? And if you're promising jobs, what sector are you building those jobs around? Nigerians have gone beyond hearsay. They want practical solution. Let's be practical this time. We've gone from the whole rather. Let's come to the table and say what the main thing is.
Exactly. For all the things that you intend to achieve, what is the strategy? Campaign rally can give you excitement for 2 hours. Governance gives you consequences for 4 years, right? And that is why the timing of the campaign is significant. We have 5 months in which politicians will have enormous access to Nigerians. They will be on television, they will be on radio, you see them on social media, you see them in markets and in communities, at rallies. They will tell us why they deserve our votes. But Nigerians also have an opportunity to reverse that relationship. Instead of simply listening to politicians, voters can interrogate them. What exactly did you do when you were in office? What did your party do? What are you promising now? How much will it cost? Where will the money come from? And perhaps the most important question, why should Nigerians believe you this time? Trust is going to be a major issue. Nigerians have heard promises before. Every election cycle comes with a new vocabulary: renewal, rescue, transformation, prosperity, change, hope. But eventually, these words have to mean something in people's lives. And I think that is why the economic conversation is going to be important. We cannot have a 2027 campaign where politicians spend months talking about personalities while avoiding the economic reality facing the country. And in fact, Marian, this is an important part of the conversation. While the campaigns are going to start, we want to see less of personal attacks or hate speeches or calling out people and saying, your father did this, your mother did this, that's not the kind of...
To dig out the time they were born and the time they were not born.
We're not really interested in all of that.
We've gone past that.
The issues that the country is dealing with, what are your plans to deal with them? What are your plans to address those concerns on security, on the economy, on several sectors of the nation? What is your plan? What are you planning to do differently?
Because when you look at it, the slogans don't provide anything like job. The rallies and the enormous crowd that will come chanting and singing do not provide the cheaper food that you can buy in the markets. I mean, you got to demand the manifesto. Even the just talks of the manifesto doesn't even do the job. You need to ask the questions. How? If you say you're going to make petrol cheaper, how are you going to do that? We need to know. You need to demand the plan. You need to ask what we actually change and how it will be achieved. If you say we're going to produce more, how are we going to produce more? Where is the production going to come from? Where is the production hub going to be? We need to understand. And, political alliances on their own don't fix insecurity. Whether you join forces with your counterpart or whatever, it doesn't fix the problem. How are you going to fix the problem? So as the 2027 campaign officially gets on the way, perhaps the most important thing Nigerians can do is listen. Not just listening to them singing and chanting and playing the drums and bringing the DJ for you to dance and give you bread and rice and what, and they go home. No. You need to listen carefully to what they say. Listen beyond the applause, beyond the slogans, beyond the political drama. Look at the record, the ideas, the plans, the body language. One thing is to say one thing. Do the person, do the candidate, does the party mean what they say? Because by January, Nigerians will not just be choosing who they like, they'll be choosing who they can trust with the next 4 years of their lives. And that is a decision that deserves more than a campaign slogan. That's where you come in right now on the program.
Well, you have your job cut out for you as the electorate while you criticize and engage with these candidates.
Right.
Now you know what you're supposed to do as the electorate. 5 months, it has to be 5 months where we're having intense and robust conversations on the direction the country will be going right after January 2027.
Right.
Well, that's where we give it a rest on the issue of the campaign starting and switch gears now to developments in Nigeria's economy and the global economy as well on Business Brief with Marion.
Welcome to Business Brief for today, August the 21st, 2026. And now, Nigeria's crude oil production could rise above 1.7 million barrels per day in the second half of the year, as improved security, reduced oil theft, and renewed investment in upstream operations support a recovery in output. Now, the projection from the Nigeria Economic Summit Group points to stronger production at a time when the federal government is relying heavily on oil earnings to strengthen public finances and improve foreign exchange inflows. Increased production alongside relatively strong international crude prices could provide additional fiscal space for the government. The expected improvement is also being linked around oil-producing communities with efforts to reduce crude theft, attacks on pipelines, helping operators restore production, increase investment in existing fields, and new upstream projects is also expected to contribute to the projected rise in output. If production rises still and remains above the 1.7 million barrels per day level, Nigeria could strengthen its position in the international oil market while improving government revenue from crude exports, but analysts say sustained gains will depend on continued security improvement, investment in the sector, and the ability to maintain production without renewed disruption. Nigeria's energy inflation has dropped sharply to 4.37%, its lowest level in 4 months, falling from 9.83% recorded the previous month and pointing to a moderation and the pace at which energy-related costs are rising. The decline comes as Nigeria continues to experience major changes in energy and transportation costs, with movement in fuel prices having a direct impact on businesses and households. Energy costs remain particularly important because they influence the cost of transporting goods, running businesses, and providing essential services. The latest figure provides some relief for businesses that have been dealing with elevated operating costs, particularly manufacturers and small enterprises that depend heavily on fuel and electricity. A sustained moderation could gradually reduce some of the cost pressures feeding into prices across the economy. However, the decline in energy inflation does not necessarily mean energy prices themselves have become low. It indicates that the rate at which those costs are increasing has slowed. Businesses and consumers will therefore now be watching subsequent inflation data to determine whether the moderation is sustained and whether it begins to translate into broader price relief. And the federal government is challenging Nigerian banks and fintech companies to help unlock an estimated $14.8 billion annual financing opportunity for women as part of efforts to expand access to capital and strengthen women's participation in the economy. The call was made at the National Gender Inclusion Conference in Abuja, where attention was drawn to the financing gap facing women-owned businesses and entrepreneurs. Despite their significant participation in Nigeria's informal and small business economy, many women continue to face difficulties accessing affordable credit, investment, and other formal financial services. Government officials are urging financial institutions to develop products that respond more directly to the needs of women-owned businesses, including more accessible credit facility and digital financial services. The push also places greater emphasis on fintech companies, which could use technology to reach women who remain outside traditional banking channels. Unlocking the estimated $14.8 billion opportunity could have wider economic implications, particularly for small businesses, job creations, and household income. But turning the opportunity into actual financing will depend on how effectively banks and fintech companies address affordability, collateral requirements, financial literacy, and other barriers that continue to limit women's access to capital. Up next is Sport Highlight with Ugochukwu, Madumere, and Global Pulse. Many thanks for staying tuned on Business Brief. I am Marian Delepe.
All right, thanks for joining us in sports this morning. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and the ICPC have commenced investigations into the utilization of the 12 billion naira federal government intervention fund released to the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, for players' wages and bonuses. The fund was approved by Mr. President in 2024 to clear outstanding payments owed to Nigeria's national teams. Now, a top source familiar with the matter confirmed on Thursday that some officials linked to the matter had been invited by investigators and had provided statements. In fact, the source said that they have been under our radar before now. We invited some officials over to our offices and they gave their statements. Presently, they are on administrative bail. We have not ended our investigation. And the disclosure was contained in a letter signed by Onoja Joshua. If you're watching on YouTube, the letter is also on your screen. And this is on behalf of the General Secretary of the NFF in response to a request for the disclosure of financial records and utilization logs relating to the fund. And the letter dated 18th August was addressed to the principal partner of Cromwell and Okeke following correspondence dated August 7, but received by NFF on August 11. Now, in 2024 January, before the 2023 AFCON, it was reported that President Tinubu had approved the payment of outstanding funds owed by the federal government to the Super Eagles and other national teams. According to a statement on the X handle of the Tinubu's Media Center, the payment covered 15 months of outstanding salaries owed to senior national team coaches, as well as allowances and other payments due to the senior men's, women's, and under-20 national teams. Fast forward to November 2025, the Super Eagles boycotted training in Rabat, Morocco, ahead of a crucial World Cup qualifier against Gabon, citing unpaid allowances. In April 2026, it was reported that some members of the 2023 and 2025 sets of the Nigeria's men's under-20 team, the Flying Eagles, also lamented that the NFF owed them 1.5 billion naira, covering qualification bonuses for participating in 6 major tournaments within the period, as well as pre-tournament camps allowances covering about 65 days. Now, the latest probe comes amid persistent public concerns over the administration of Nigerian football and the recent failure of the Super Eagles to qualify for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup. Of course, you know the Super Eagles also failed to qualify for the World Cup that was just concluded in United States, Canada, and Mexico. Well, the Confederation of African Football has unveiled the best 11 of the 2026 WAFCON, with Cameroon dominating, leading the way with multiple players recognized for their performances, followed by Malawi and Morocco. Algeria and Zambia also secured places in the team. Cameroon goalkeeper Mikeli Bihina was selected between the posts, while the defensive line features Algeria's Ines Bellemou, Morocco's Nohilia Benzina, and Hanane Eit El Haj, alongside Cameroon's Miriam Njadu. The midfield comprises Cameroon's Monique Ngok, Malawi's Temwa Chawinga, and Algeria's Marin Defour. Malawi's attacking threat was further represented by Tabita Chawinga, who joins Morocco's Maringa, and Zambia's Barbara Banda in the forward line. Cameroon's Valentine Nguele was named head coach of the best 11 following her team's campaign. Well, for the Super Falcons, they were eliminated by Cameroon in the quarterfinals. They did not have any player included in the best 11. I mean, were we really expecting that? Not really. And still talking about women's football, FIFA has unveiled the match schedule for the 2027 Women's World Cup in Brazil, confirming the dates and venues for all 64 matches across 8 host cities. In a post on FIFA's website on Thursday, the schedule was announced at the home of FIFA in Zurich, Switzerland, during the live draw for the preliminary phase of the Women's World Cup 2027 playoff tournament. Now, host Brazil will open the tournament at the iconic Estadio de Maracanã in Rio de Janeiro on Thursday, the 24th of June, before playing their remaining group stage matches at the Arena Itaquera in Sao Paulo on Tuesday, June 29, and the Estadio Nacional in Brasilia on the Sunday, the 4th of July. Now, each of the 8 host cities will stage at least 7 matches, including a minimum of 1 knockout fixture. Brasilia, Porto Alegre, Recife, and Salvador will host matches through the round of 16, while Belo Horizonte and Fortaleza will join Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo as quarterfinal venues. FIFA President Gianni Infantino said the tournament will provide an opportunity to showcase the growth of women's football while allowing fans and communities across Brazil to play a central role. The Maracanã will make history by becoming only the 3rd stadium to host both a men's FIFA World Cup final and a women's World Cup final. And finally, let's move over to what's happening in the transfer market, where Barcelona have signed defender Joao Cancelo on a free transfer, the Spanish champions said yesterday. The fullback arrives as a free agent and signs until June 30, 2029, said Barca in a statement. Portugal international Cancelo terminated his contract with Saudi Arabian side Al Hilal in order to return to Camp Nou. The 32-year-old has previously spent 2 loan spells with Barca, including in the second half of last season, helping Hansi Flick's side retain La Liga. Cancelo played in Portugal, Spain, and Italy before joining Man City in 2019. Well, he follows Rodri, Anthony Gordon, and Karim Adeyemi to Barca this summer, with the Catalan Giants still looking to sign a striker after the departures of Ferran Torres and Robert Lewandowski. Barca were hoping, of course, to sign the big man, Atletico Madrid's Julian Alvarez, but have to look elsewhere, with the Rojiblancos refusing to let the Argentina international move. On Sunday, Flick's team will begin their La Liga campaign against Elche. Well, that's all we have for you on sports this morning. Coming up next is developments on the global stage on Global Pulse this morning. Well, on Global Pulse, the United States is sending its first group of deportees to Liberia under an arrangement that could see the West African country receive up to 1,200 third country nationals over the next year. The first 20 deportees are arriving in Liberia, marking the beginning of a controversial agreement under which people being removed from the United States are being transferred to a country that is not necessarily their own. Liberia's Information Minister, Jerolimek Pia, says the arrangement covers third country nationals from African and West Hemisphere countries.
Within a year, the persons to be transferred to Liberia are third country nationals, some of whom may wish to seek asylum in Liberia. Honor the agreement or arrangement. Those to be transferred from the United States of America to Liberia will include citizens or nationals of.
The minister says the arrangement is not limited to Africans, with the deportees also including nationals from North America, South America, and the Caribbean. Now, reports say that many of those being transferred are expected to come from Latin American countries, including Venezuela and Cuba. Well, for Washington, the arrangement forms part of the Trump administration's wider immigration crackdown and its effort to deport people who cannot be returned directly to their countries of origin. But for Liberia, the agreement is placing the country at the center of a growing debate over third country deportations. Liberian officials say those arriving will be treated as guests with the option to seek asylum or leave the country. Now, elsewhere, the United States national debt is crossing the $40 trillion mark for the first time setting another record for the world's largest economy and reigniting debate over Washington's fiscal management. The latest Treasury figures show total U.S. government debt has now surpassed $40 trillion after adding roughly $1 trillion in just a matter of months. The milestone is coming as the cost of servicing America's debt continues to put pressure on government finances. But as questions mount over how Washington plans to reverse the trend, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is pointing the finger at the previous administration, saying the Trump administration inherited a difficult fiscal situation with Joe Biden.
And what we're going to do, we're going to have to grow our way out of this. And as I talked about at G20 in Asheville, we are going to talk about the U.S. growth strategy and encourage the rest of the world to come along with us. We are also, I announced that Director Russ Vought and I have been tasked with looking at fiscal consolidation. I think the numbers are not the actual numbers now. We've had to do substantial tariff refunds due to the court ruling, but with the Section 301 tariffs, I am confident that we will be back to the same level, if not higher, of tariff income for last year, and that is most of the increase in the deficit. And remember, we did not get here in a day. That we were left with a mess. The Biden administration had the highest deficit to GDP in history when we weren't at war or weren't in a recession. For 2025, we brought in.
That was Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and he's arguing that the United States will have to grow its way out of the debt problem and defending the administration's approach to the economy. His comments are coming as the debt continues to rise under the current administration as well, with the total debt reportedly increasing from about $36.2 trillion when Donald Trump returned to office to more than $40 trillion now. While the $40 trillion milestone is also carrying implications beyond Washington. Higher U.S. borrowing and elevated interest rates can affect global bond markets, investment flows, and the cost of borrowing for emerging economies. For countries such as Nigeria, movements in U.S. interest rates can influence foreign investment, exchange rates, and the cost of accessing international capital. Moving away from that, global oil prices are climbing, with Brent crude moving above $93 per barrel as fresh uncertainty surrounding Iran and the Strait of Hormuz continues to unsettle energy markets, while the latest increase follows a warning from U.S. President Donald Trump. The country's support in Iran could face economic consequences. Investors are now closely watching developments in the region for any indication that tensions could threaten oil production or shipments. The Strait of Hormuz remains particularly important because a significant share of the world's oil supply passes through the narrow waterway. Any major disruption could therefore send crude prices considerably higher and put renewed pressure on the global economy. The market is watching Iran closely because any escalation around the Strait of Hormuz could quickly turn today's price increase into a much larger global energy shock. Well, that's Global Pulse for you at this point. We now switch gears to what's trending online on Virals and Trend. A second commentary is also up ahead on the morning edition.
Every street has a story. Every struggle carries hope. Every dream deserves a voice. We walk where the people walk. We honor our culture. We tell the stories that matter. This is not just news. This is your story, your voice, your network. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
We know that you can't always wait for the news at the top of the hour. Don't worry, we got you. Check out the latest news headlines on our website, therealmediang.com. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
Every street has a story. Every struggle carries hope. Every dream deserves a voice. We walk where the people walk. We honor our culture. We tell the stories that matter. This is not just news. This is your story, your voice, your network. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
Waiting for the news at the top of the hour? Don't worry, you can now get the news as it breaks. Download the Real Broadcasting Network free mobile app for Android, Play Store, and web to get breaking news alerts as the news breaks. Also, get more detailed perspectives on all major news reports when you visit our website, realmediang.com.
Hello and welcome to Virus and Trend for today, August 21st, 2026. Listening to us via the radio across our streaming platform on our YouTube channel, Real Broadcasting Network. Thank you for staying tuned. Now, let's look at the stories trending across social media. Now, these are the major stories you find across your timeline this morning, and they are buzzing. Comments are really in. Imagine being stuck in the exact same spot on the highway for over 24 hours. I mean, no movement, just endless rows of headlights and frustrated sighs. This is the growing reality for commuters right now along the Agbo-Benin Expressway in Edo State. A local resident captured the sheer scale of the chaos on video, shouting out the frustration of hundreds of stranded travelers who have been completely locked down in heavy gridlock. Let's take a look.
Drivers here, they suffer for this Agbo road. Jesus, see. Kai. Agbo road.
APC, we know they collect money. We don't do those for us. Gabi don't park my motor for 6 many months. Can't let me come inside. Every day they go and carry APC, we know they collect money. Every day we do like a road. Every day. We don't do our road for us. Comment for the people, by the people, and for the people. We don't do our road for us. Wallah.
In case you heard that, walao, it means please, we are begging you. It's government for the people, by the people. Do please make some repairs. It's indeed a major headache for anyone trying to move goods or even get across, make appointments. It really puts the spotlight back on the state, of major transports, the difficulties right there. There are lots who are calling on the state governor, Monday Okpebholo, to say, what are you doing about this deplorable state of the roads? And we've got comments as well. At Franco Builder commented on X, he says, my brother, not a small thing to do. On my way to Enugu State today, we spent good 5 hours for bypass Agbo Road with enough trekking. He actually put a laughing emoji because it's funny, but not funny. And we have another comment at OB Movement. He says, I keep saying it, Edo people should dust themselves and grab their PVC and vote for competence and quality leadership. I mean, campaigns are on now, even though not governorship, but grab your PVC and vote for competence. That's what this particular person on X commented. So when the dust settles on political rhetoric, the reality of a broken road hits. It really hits home literally every single day. That was a fiery statement on display as residents along the Benin-Agbo bypass took matters into their own hands. But still on that Benin-Agbo road now, residents took their phones and their cameras to make a record of the Benin bypass leading to Warri or leading to Delta State. The road is in a deplorable state, and the residents of Benin City are calling on their governor, Monday Okpebholo, to come do something about the road. Let me take you to that moment where that eyewitness or citizen journalist actually recorded this video.
It's shining. When I see iron, daughter they shine. Edo is shining. The governor of the state, he puts me put for us for center of Tar Road. Edo is shining. When are they sweep? Edo is shining for Agbo Road. Edo is shining. Recorder. The recorder, my brother. Edo is shining. Senator Governor Monday Okpebholo. I try for the state. I do fly over. I block them. May anybody know it? I no try. I carry company where no get name come, they can't do road. I no try. I do road. I push with impo. I no try. Sure, Pablo Stone. Sure for Taro, Federal Government Road. They come up for here, go Osun State, go the Allah. We will cover up. We will cover up your state. Should be put for center of Taro. They do it.
We haven't heard the last of it, neither has the governor heard the last of it since he went to Osun State to campaign and called the Ademola Adeleke some names, talking about dancing and all. Nigerians and the people of Edo State do not want to let that moment go away. You still hear that residents calling on the governor to say it's not just to go make your campaigns, come back to your state and fix the roads. It's quite a sad one. But then there are comments coming in as well. And from Say Hi to Me commented on X, and it says, when the masses say they don't want money, just fix the roads. Governments should know it's a serious matter. I mean, and then another comment also came in to say, Oluwasegun said on X, does it mean that Nigeria is waking up already? A lot of questions now. But still on virus and trends, in the tech world, a robot reportedly went out of control at the 2026 World Robot Conference in Beijing after losing its remote connection. In a now viral video, the machine was seen thrashing on the floor as operators struggled to shut it down. Let's take a look. That video and that sound you can hear listening to us via the radio is a robot on the floor making that noise, and the operators are trying to hold it down and try to use the remote control on it, but the robot is not working, and this has prompted fresh concerns as regards over safety of the robots now. That means there's a need for reliable emergency and control system. And here are some of the comments that caught our attention. At Emeka Alive said, that's one of the many risks of these humanoids. We are told it's the way of the future, but no mention of its ability to go off mode. And what happens then? Exactly. What happens when the robot decides to go off mode and decides to act on its own? What should be done if this is the future? But then other comments from AK, the Cryptosian also commented, this looks scary, man. Imagine the robot held a person's hand or the person's neck in the moment where the malfunctioning started. It will be a big wahala. Other termination features should be added. It could be a remote or a wireless control. I mean, another means to shut it down should also be introduced. But then, can you imagine at this point where you have lots of Nigerians running towards a spilled truckload of diesel with buckets and jerry cans, knowing fully well that one spark could just set the whole place ablaze and cause a disaster. It sounds unthinkable, but we've seen it happen in Nigeria. But yet, another fuel tanker spill in Lagos has drawn crowds eager to scoop up free products, completely brushing off the terrifying risk. This happened where a tanker fell on the roadside and residents are seen rushing to go scoop the diesel that spilled from the tank, raising serious alarm again. I'll take you to that moment shortly, quickly now, when that happened. Would urge you to head over to our YouTube channel now, where you can still watch that video of residents with their jerry cans, with their buckets. And on the major road, we have cars driving on that road, motorbikes passing through. Any spark could have caused any fire. But Do Nigerians actually even learn lessons from what we have seen before? And then there are comments as well. At this one from Atom Sibo commented on X and is asking, is diesel flammable? At least it isn't going to waste. And this is the best way for it not to go to waste. Are you serious right now? And then there are also comments from LB commented and said, some Nigerians never learn from history. They are risking their lives after countless examples of people dying while scooping diesel. Apart from the fact that it's morally wrong to steal what's not yours, it's equally logically wrong to put yourself in harm's way and possible danger under whatever guise. Whether you're saving it from wastage, you are scooping it to go sell, to go use at home, this is high risk. It should never have happened. Another comment at Midesh also commented, when will Nigerians realize that this isn't right? This is putting lives in jeopardy. It's a miracle. Tragedies don't happen more often now. That's one comment that also caught our attention. But with our video, we wrap up Virus and Trend for today. Many thanks for being part of it. We do hope that we take precaution next time. Remember, 12:30, Virus and Trend comes again on your screen. So stay connected to Real Broadcasting Network live on YouTube at, of course, the Real Media NG. I'm Marian Delekwe. Up next is our second commentary, where we're having a conversation that can easily become emotional because we're talking about children this time, poverty, religion, and security all at once. You don't want to miss this conversation, so stay tuned. And now, this is one conversation that can easily become emotional because we are talking about children, we're talking poverty, we're talking religion, and we are talking security. But before we call them a threat to society, shouldn't we first now ask how these children ended up in the streets? You might be wondering, what are we talking about? Right, the Almajiri system, which was originally about Islamic education and not street begging. Over time, however, poverty, weak social protection, and limited access to formal education have changed the reality for many of these children. And that's why I think we should be careful of how we describe them. But as much as we are careful, the conversation has to be had. A child who is born into poverty and sent away to seek knowledge did not choose the circumstances he's living in. But there's also a concern we cannot completely dismiss. When children grow up without proper education, protection, or opportunities now, they can become vulnerable to people who are willing to exploit them. And that is where the security argument comes in. We have seen repeatedly that young people who feel excluded or have very little hope can become easy targets for criminal or extremist group. True, but we shouldn't jump from saying that children are vulnerable to saying that the children themselves are a threat. Being an Almajiri does not make a child a criminal, and receiving Islamic education certainly does not make someone dangerous. So perhaps the real issue is not the child, but the environment around the child. If a child spends his formative years on the streets, begging for food, begging for the source of daily life, living without adequate protection, what kind of future are we actually creating for that child? And that question should concern everybody, not just the Northerners, not just the Southerners, not just where the state where Almajiris can be found. It is important that we look at this closely. The system that we build is important for us to evaluate and look at that properly. So perhaps the real issue is not the child, but the environment around the child. If a child spends his formative years on the street begging for food and living without adequate protection, again, what kind of future are we actually creating for that child? The government has introduced different programs over the years to address Almajiri education and the wider out-of-school children crisis. But if we are still seeing children roaming the streets and begging, then clearly something is not working well enough. This is where implementation becomes very important. It is one thing to announce a program, but it's another thing to make sure that the money, the schools, the teachers, and the support actually reach these children who really need them. So I don't also, think that we should just trash the issue like that. We should be able to look closely. When these help and these programs are being established, who is responsible? Who is in charge of them? I also think families and communities have to be part of this conversation. Government cannot solve the problem alone if parents, religious leaders, and community leaders are not also questioning the conditions under which these children are being raised. So, because religious education and modern education do not have to be enemies, a child should be able to learn the Quran and still have access to literacy, numeracy, and vocational skills, and the basic protection every child deserves. And perhaps that is the model we should be discussing instead of simply trying to abolish or defend the system. How do we preserve the valuable part of the tradition while removing the conditions that leave children vulnerable? So the conversation today is, how do we get these children, which are called Amajiris, these people on the street, out of the street into a better protected home, education provided, food provided, shelter is provided. So when we ask these questions, are Amajiris victims of circumstances or a threat to society? Maybe the answer is more complicated than choosing one side. They can be victims of circumstances today, while the failure to address those circumstances could create serious social and security problems tomorrow. And that distinction matters because we shouldn't punish children for circumstances they didn't create themselves. Instead, we should be asking what government, families, society can do to ensure those circumstances don't determine their entire lives. Because a child begging on the street today could be a teacher, an entrepreneur, an engineer, or community leader tomorrow. The question is whether we are giving that child the opportunity to become any of those things. That child or the children shouldn't be limited to what we see today. So perhaps we should stop asking whether a Amajiri child or children is a threat and start asking whether our failure to provide education and protection is creating the threats. Because the child did not choose the street, but society can choose whether he remains there. So if you find a child on the streets today, it's not a choice of the society, of the family, of the government, whether that child should remain on the streets. And if we get that choice right, we're not only changing the life of one child, we could be changing the future of entire communities. And that's the conversation. Perhaps it's one Nigeria can no longer afford to postpone. Today we have the conversation. Tomorrow we implement the needful. That's where we move forward. We don't just keep talking, but we put practice to what we have said. And that's our second commentary this morning, looking at the threats or the consequences of leaving the child on the streets. But up next is the news, top of the hour, 8 o'clock. When we return, our big story will be underway. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed a 11-member committee to produce a comprehensive national threat assessment and a 5-year strategic defense operation plan within 90 days. When we return after the news, we get right into that conversation. You are definitely part of it, so stay tuned.
Every street has a story. Every struggle carries hope. Every dream deserves a voice. We walk where the people walk. We honor our culture. We tell the stories that matter. This is your voice, your network. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
Jesus. My brother, see road now. If na Lagos now, traffic go don dey. No go anywhere. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. My brother, na city gate be this. Where you go see before you enter Abuja. If you enter Abuja and you never see this city gate, my brother, na Cameroon you go dey. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. My brother, Abuja life too soft. After work like this, now here they consider then they see fine things that will be sonorous in my spirit. Now why I love Abuja with this? Unity for inside the diversity. Now what did they take no Abuja for? Now why I love Abuja? You see this place my back? Luxury on another level. You feel the waka inside. You don't know who you go meet wey go change your life.
My mother, this is why I love Abuja.
But the real reason wey make me like Abuja na because of real 99.3 where e be say we dey chook mouth on top real talk and na real people and all of us go gather together to dey for chook mouth on top real matter.
We know that you can't always wait for the news at the top of the hour. Don't worry, we got you. Check out the latest news headlines on our website, therealmediang.com. Real Broadcasting Network. This is Real 993. Time check is 8 a.m. From our global news center, we bring you the latest happenings on the real news.
This is the Arabian News Hour from the Real Broadcasting Network. I am Sufyan Ibrahim, and here are the top stars. President Bola Tinubu has criticized former Vice President Atiku Abubakar over his promise to restore fuel subsidy if elected president. The president described the proposal as evidence of what he called serious ignorance of governance and the economy. Speaking at the State House, President Tinubu says 27 states could not pay workers' salaries before he became president, arguing that the subsidy regime had weakened state finances and affected payments to workers and pensioners.
One of my opponents now say we go back to subsidy. I read it. That is demonstration of a serious ignorance on governance and economy. Before I came here, 27 states are unable to pay salaries. Not to even talk of pensioners, salary of workers. In your state, I know a man that raised, whose nickname half salary. They come to the federal, cap in hand, unable to do anything.
The president says the experience showed the financial difficulties states faced under the previous system. The Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has urged Nigerian youth to protect their lives and ambitions by staying away from criminality and violence, particularly as the country approaches the 2027 general elections. Speaking during the Police Forces International Youth Day celebration in Abuja, Disu urged youth to avoid unnecessary risks and make responsible choices. However, the IGP says the police recognizes the constitutional right of young Nigerians to participate in politics, support political parties, and campaign for candidates. He assured that the police will work to provide a safe environment for peaceful campaigns and protect citizens, candidates, and campaign venues. How should Nigeria be governed, and how much power should regions have? That question is back on the national agenda, with a civil society group proposing a major shake-up of the country's political structure. Arabian correspondent Godwin Igwe tells us more.
The proposed regions are Akwa Ibom region, Ane Igala region, Akwa Agba region, Bende region, Caliphate region, Cross River region, Gurara region, Hausa region, Igbo region, Ijo region, Kanem region, Lower Benue region, Niger region, Plateau region, Rivers region, Savannah region, and Yoruba region.
The debate over restructuring and regional government in Nigeria has come to the fore once more, with Concerned Citizens Assembly proposing 17 autonomous regions, fiscal federalism, and regional security as part of a new constitutional framework. At a press briefing in Abuja, the group called for a national constitutional dialogue involving the government, civil society, traditional institutions, and citizens to determine the future structure of the country. The convener, Owolabi Oladijo, says the proposals are aimed at creating a more balanced federal system with greater autonomy.
The proposed federal arrangements seek to preserve Nigeria as one sovereign country while allowing its constituent regions sufficient autonomy to govern themselves according to their circumstances, aspirations, and constitutional choices.
The proposal, however, has already triggered disagreement among participants. The leader of the Igbo delegation, Professor Obasi Igwe, rejected the communique adopted at the gathering.
This type of conference should not hold again because it was held on the assumption that it was ethnic groups, Nigerian ethnic groups, that will meet. So the regions will be organized on the basis of ethnic groups or groupings of consenting ethnic groups. That it was well defined that the decisions will be arrived at by consensus, by consent, by inclusivity, by agreement. Now they breach all those rules when they saw the arguments.
On his part, the Secretary of Citizens Rebirth and Awareness Initiative, Ali Ocheni, defended the process that produced the proposed regions.
We have 4 criteria which we think we should use. There must be cultural and linguistic affinity. There must be territorial contiguity. That place must be economically viable so that at least they can take care of themselves. And then there should be political sustainability.
The Assembly also called for the establishment of a National Debate Commission to coordinate the restructuring process, facilitate negotiations among proposed regions, resolve territorial disputes, and develop frameworks for fiscal federalism and regional security. In Abuja, Godwin Igbe, RBN News.
And that is the RBN News Hour. Thank you for staying with us on the Real Broadcasting Network. Stay informed with more stories on our website at www.therealmediang.com. Also download the RBN app on Google Play Store and Apple Store for iOS devices. You can also follow us across all social media platforms at The Real Media NG for real-time updates and in-depth coverage. I am Sufyan Ibrahim. The morning edition continues. Please stay tuned.
From our global news center, we bring you the latest happenings on the real news.
Every street has a story. Every struggle carries hope. Every dream deserves a voice. We walk where the people walk. We honor our culture. We tell the stories that matter. This is not just news. This is your story, your voice, your network. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
We know that you can't always wait for the news at the top of the hour. Don't worry, we got you. Check out the latest news headlines on our website, therealmediang.com. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
And now we turn our attention to our big story for today as we examine all of those that's happening as regards to the president now who has now directed an 11-member committee to produce a comprehensive national threat assessment and a 5-year strategic defense operations plan within 90 days. The government says the plan is intended to give Nigeria a clearer understanding of the threat facing the country, improve coordination among security agencies, and identify the personnel, equipment, and capabilities required to confront those threats. But Nigeria has had several security strategies and billions of naira have been committed to fighting insecurity. Yet, terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping remain major concerns. So, what exactly should this new 5-year plan change? And can 90 days produce a strategy capable of addressing Nigeria's complex security challenges? But joining us this morning virtually is Nazar Siyaka, a security consultant who is with us right now, but virtual. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Nazar.
Yeah, thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning to you all there.
All right, we get right into it now. The president has given the committee 90 days to produce a 5-year defense operations plan. From a security perspective, you're a security consultant. You understand all of these terms, terminology, and how the system works. What should be the most urgent issue this committee must address?
The most urgent issue the committee should address is mostly what is called a security roadmap, which they call as plan, security roadmap. I think Mr. President is considering this strategic directive because Nigeria before today used to fight insecurity incident by incident. So on this, it's as if we are directionless. So as a nation, we need to have a good direction. We need to have a roadmap to assess our security threats and know what is at stake for us, how to measure ourselves, whether we are progressing in solving insecurity or we are still in one place, or we are just displacing insecurity. What I mean by displacing insecurity is that there are some area where insecurity is stable, while the insecurity is stable, while there are some area where we are predominantly experiencing insecurity. That is displacement of insecurity. We need to stabilize it across the nation to better our security living or to better the protections of life and property in this country. I think one of the first things they should do is a proper assessment of threats, security threats. We need to assess it. And before we can do that, there are key things we need to put in place. Who are these people? First and foremost, we even need to sectionalize the threats. Sectionalizing the threats are Northeast. We know that in Northeast is predominantly terrorism and insurgency, while in North Central is predominantly kidnapping and banditry, and in Southeast is predominantly separatist and other criminal activities. So after we've sectionalized this aspect, then we now know who are those perpetrating these evils. We need to identify, we need to find them, we need to identify these criminal elements. Then what are their sources? Their weapon sources, their financial sources. All these things are the first approach we need to put in place after a holistic assessment, threat assessment, national threat assessment. And we have to also solve this issue in a peculiar way. By the time we wanted to solve the whole problem at once, that's how we find ourselves jumping from one place to another place for operations to curb insecurity. Now we have several divisions in the country, which is almost 12 divisions in the country militarily. Then by the time you are able to sectionalize all these threats using a geographical means, then you will now assign tasks to so division. This division should face insurgency. This division should face kidnapping and banditry, while this division should face separatists and other criminal activities within the Southeast, as the case may be. So these are the first thing the government or the authority needs to assess before we go further into identifying who are these criminals, who is their financiers. These criminals are being supported either locally or internationally, we know. Then who are those? We have to start from the local supporters of these criminals element. Then by the time you put them to law, and the law should be firmly on them that whenever they're identified or anything similar to you, that you are related to financing any criminal element in this country, then a decisive measure should be given to them that will serve as a huge deterrent to other people that are indulging in such activities.
All right, but then from what you've also said and what the presidency has said, say security agencies have often now operated without, a common national threat assessment. Before now, why haven't the security operative have a national assessment to assess even the threat levels to the situations that we have, the security situation we have at hand? What is How serious is this coordination gap? And could it be one of the reasons Nigeria has struggled to, contain the insecurity we're currently grappling with?
Yes, it's one of the reasons why Nigeria is struggling to curb insecurity in this nation, because of coordination. We lack coordination. Let me even use the military as an example before I go to the broader aspect of it.
Okay.
Let me just use the military. In the military, we have the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Then you see that there is no proper coordination even between these three body of the military. You see where, because as far as I'm concerned, Nigerian military has air superiority rather. Nigeria has air superiority, and these bandits or these insurgents groups does not have air superiority. Then the synergy between the foot army and those in charge of the airspace are not properly coordinated. This is one of the setback we are having. You will see that anytime there is a coordination between the foot army, which is the soldiers, and the Air Force, you see a huge result that will be recorded. Of recent, they went all out and decimate some insurgency within Zamfara State and Sokoto, which actually yield a very good result to them because of a huge coordination and synergy between these two bodies of the military. So when you come to the broader aspect of it, which is the military itself, the police, the DSS, and other civil security agencies, you see the superiority in them, that I'm the one that did this, I'm the one that did this to achieve the common goal the Nigerian desires, is what is actually giving us this setback we are experiencing today. I think this is in his wisdom. The president now say, okay, there should be a clear term by security roadmap in bringing everybody on board to see that one goal is achieved, which is the safety of life and property of this country. And by saying that it's 5 years plan, I'm of opinion we should talk about transformations of our security system. We should be talking about holistic transformations of our security system, because that 5 years might not be sustainable, might not be holistic, it might not give them an ample time to do a very good job they desired to do.
But then Nigeria has security policies, strategies, and institutions, set in place before now. So what is the major difference, between what the president has ordered now and what would make this plan even more than another government document? And what's that difference of what the government is setting up now, the security policies and strategies and even institutions that we already have?
Yes, all this directive from presidency or from the president as the commander-in-chief of armed forces is a reinforcement to strengthen the security institutions of this country. We have them already established and existing, and to be candid, they are doing their best. They are not. It's not that they are sleeping; they are doing their best. Only that they said the good is nothing when the best is needed. I think it is the best the Nigeria is demanding or advocating from our security architecture at large. That is why we are seeing some lapses, and it is those lapses that we are bothering to close up, so that we can get the desired result. Yes, before today we have all these agencies, we have the institutions, we have the will and the economic aspect at which the Nigeria can actually do the best to provide security of life and property to this in this nation. But the synergy is actually lacking. The synergy that is lacking is not only lacking in between the security agencies, even among the government is also lacking. How about when the government needs to provide, remodernize our security structures, and they are failing in that aspect? We should know that the war is also changing over time. It is not the kind of war we fought during Biafra time that we are fighting now. So we need to also, move fast in terms of intelligence gathering. Me, I'm telling you that some people would think that the best intelligence gathering is by the human. It is not by the human. It is by the technology now. Because if you check, technology doesn't lie. But human, we have our own human factor, and we are Africans. Me, I can have a peculiar issues with somebody, then I can now go and give a wrong intelligence to the security personnel just to get my own interest covered. But when you use technology doesn't have self-interest in any intelligence gathering. It only do its work as it is programmed. So me, I'm of opinion that the government should do the needful and provide the modern equipment need to fight insecurity in this country, especially intelligence gathering. Now, sometimes it is not how far we gathered intelligence, how quickly information is even shared, analyzed, and converted into actions also matter. This is where we have the gap in our security synergies today. You see, the DSS will be analyzing threats, and be bringing sound intelligence. Then when this sound intelligence is given, who do they give direct? And how this information is being transcended to actions. It is not clearly stated. This is one of the reasons in his wisdom, the president now come with this plan. I think all these things should be part of the plan. How intelligent, who are the group to actually saddle with the responsibility of gathering intelligence? Then after that, who are those responsible in which this information should be shared with in a hierarchy way, and how this should be converted to action, and who should take the actions? So these are the things we need to put in place. Before now, the same intelligence that is in the hand, that in the disposals of the military, is the same intelligence is at the disposals of the police. Then you now see now police and the military will now be seeing who should strike first and claim the glory, which is not what's supposed to be. At this dispensation of time, we are facing insecurity challenges in our country. An election is also very close by. This is one of the reasons why the president, in my own opinion, that is trying to see how he can sanitize the nation across all board to make sure that there is a good security atmosphere for this forthcoming election to take place.
And now, the committee has been given 90 days to produce a comprehensive national threat assessment. Do you think this 90 days is enough and will be able to give this national threat assessment and give a 5-year strategic defense operation within 90 days? Is this achievable?
In my own opinion, because of the experience I have had, security matters is a very serious matter. 90 days may not be enough, but at least it's an avenue to start something.
It's a starting point.
It's a starting point. Then if it is not enough, there's a room for adjustment in order to achieve what we want. 90 days, in my own experience, is not going to be enough, but it's a good one that in a good direction that we have started. At least we have a plan on how to, when we talk what we talk about, when we talk about strategic plan concerning security, it's an encompasses word. We need to talk about the human factor. The human factor is talking about how to increase the number of security personnel we have currently. Is it adequate? If it is not adequate, we need to put the adequate plan. Then still in that human factor, are their morale better taken care of? taking care of, especially their money, their payment, their own personal security, their family security. Are all this one in plan? If it is not in plan, they need to put that in plan. It's a very huge work. I'm talking about the human aspect. When I'm talking about the human aspect, I'm talking about the both personnel in the army, personnel in police, personnel in the DSS, personnel in civil defense, and every other civil security personnel. So once you are done with this, you can see that we're only in one aspect. Before you now come to what is called threat analysis, you need to come to threat analysis. In this threat analysis, you have to sectionalize them. Sectionalizing them is northeast. What are the kind of threats do we normally have there? Is it local or transborder threats? If it is local, you now know the approach to use. If it is a transborder threat, you now know what kind of approach to use. We are talking about that. Then when you come to equipment, how to modernize our equipment, you need to analyze how many armored vehicles do we have. Is it adequate or not adequate? This is part of the plan. Then how many arms and ammunitions do we have? Then is it adequate or not adequate? How many aircraft do we have in this country? Is it adequate or not adequate? Then when you come after the equipment, which is a huge one as well, then you need to talk about the threat itself. The threat, is it human or is it artificial or natural? The threat also be analyzed in this manner, because it is not only artificial insecurity we have other natural insecurity. All this one also has to be part of them. Then let's talk about, because the major concern is our own man-made insecurity. We cost to ourselves. We are the one that cost this one to ourselves based on governmental policies whatsoever that might lead us to this menace we find ourselves now. Now, when you come to the threat itself, the object, we call it the object itself, the enemy or the adversary itself. Now, this adversary, are they local? Are they national? If they are local or transnational, they can be local and they can be transnational. And because the one we are facing is actually a local and transnational adversary, because some of these some of these bandits you are seeing, they are not from Nigerian, they are from neighboring countries. So we need to do that. And until doing that, you have to check about your borders, our forest, our ungoverned spaces. All these things are encompassing in those plans. I don't think 3 months will be enough for such plans to come up in a very holistic result, with a very holistic result. But it's a good one that we've started to do this kind of strategic defense operational plan.
Okay. If at the end of the 90-day, of course, the committee is expected to present something to the president and get into action. What should Nigerians look out for? What should be the evidence to show that, oh, there's even a plan? And if the plan is being put into workings and being executed, what should Nigeria look out for to see that the committee that was set up and the plan is actually working to see some improvement?
Yes, based on my experience, when number of equipments increased, more than what we are currently operating with, and number of personnel increased across all the security agencies, the military, the police, most importantly the police, because the way we are neglecting the police in this country is actually what is resulting to the major threat we are having. If police are better equipped and they can take care of the cities where population are most dominant, and military is allowed to face their own regional responsibility or regional responsibility, such as protecting the integrities of border and integrities of this country, I think it will go a long way. But we have neglected the police, and army is overwhelmed by giving them police responsibility or civil security responsibility. So it's now creating gaps in the forest, in the border, and some ungoverned spaces, because these criminals are not living with us in the city. They are not in Abuja. They are not in Port Harcourt. They are not in Lagos. They are in the forest. They are in Sambisa Forest.
Right.
They are in all those forests in Oyo State, in Kwara State, where those forests give them freedom of operations. If Nigerians started seeing deployment, a sustainable deployment in all those spaces, ungoverned spaces, then it shows that they might have, executed the plan, and the plan they might have, put up the plan, and they are executing the plan. Then, if after today, we now heard that Nigeria has secured maybe 20 aircraft, which is very huge. I'm just making an instance. 20 aircraft, more armor tanks, more ammunitions, then drones that can be serving as a surveillance equipment for us, then and other modern technologies. Then we now know that Nigeria will now know that yes, the presidential directive is yielding a desired result.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Nazir Siyeka, for your time on the program this morning and for helping us understand the situation and how we'll look at it. 90 days has been set out. We'll monitor it, and then after 90 days, I guess the conversation now continues to see the plan and strategies being, recommended by this committee. But thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you.
And have a blessed day. All right, now, while the government works on the government works on new security strategy, another major government intervention is attracting attention: the 242 billion naira allocated to student loan funding. What does this funding mean for students, and can it truly transform access to higher education? That's coming up next on the Morning Edition, so keep it right here. We'll be right back.
Jesus, my brother, see road now.
If na Lagos now, traffic don't be no go anywhere.
My brother, this is why I love Abuja. My brother, na city gate be this. Where you go see before you enter Abuja. If you enter Abuja and you never see this city gate, my brother, na Cameroon you dey. My brother, this is why I love Abuja.
My brother, Abuja life too soft. After work like this, now here they come sit down. Then they see fine things that will be sonorous in my spirit. Now why I love Abuja with this? Unity for inside the diversity. Now within they take no Abuja for. Now why I love Abuja. You see this place my back? Luxury on another level. You feel the work inside. You don't know who you go meet who will change your life.
My brother, this is why I love Abuja.
But the real reason will make me like Abuja. Now because of real 99.3, where if you say, who they choke mouth on top real talk, and really people, and all of us will gather together to take for choke mouth on top really matter.
We know that you can't always wait for the news at the top of the hour. Don't worry, we got you. Check out the latest news headlines on our website, therealmediang.com. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people. You can always set the agenda here on the Real Broadcasting Network. See it, record it, and share it with us via the free Real Broadcasting Network mobile app for iOS and Android. It's simple. See it, record it, and share it to see it make news headlines. It is Real Broadcasting Network. We the people. Waiting for the news at the top of the hour? Don't worry, you can now get the news as it breaks. Download the Real Broadcasting Network free mobile app for Android, Play Store, and web to get breaking news alerts as the news breaks. Also, get more detailed perspectives on all major news reports when you visit our website, realmediang.com.
Every street has a story. Every struggle carries hope. Every dream deserves a voice. We walk where the people walk. We honor our culture. We tell the stories that matter. This is not just news. This is your story, your voice, your network. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
All right, glad to know you're still with us right here on the morning edition. And our focus now is turned to the federal government funding of the student loan scheme, with 242 billion naira reportedly committed to the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund. The initiative is designed to make tertiary education more accessible by providing financial support to students who may otherwise struggle to afford it. But the announcement comes at a difficult time for Nigeria's education sector, with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, on strike, and questions still hanging over the government's implementation of agreements reached with university lecturers. This has raised a bigger question. Can government expand access to higher education through student loans without first fixing the problems affecting the universities themselves? Because how do you pay for your school fees and all, but the lecturers to lecture you are not in the classrooms? So where is the school fees going to? I mean, student loans. You're loaning to pay for your education, but those who are supposed to educate you are not on ground. So where do we go from here? What do we do? It's the question we're having this morning. I mean, government funding of the student loan scheme with about 242 billion naira reportedly committed to the Nigerian NEL Fund now. But Nigerians are asking, and that's why together we're having this conversation. You're part of the conversation. Let us know your thoughts as regards to this. Now, the federal government scaled up financing for the student loan program via the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, with this cumulative disbursement surpassing about 322.69 billion to over 1.65 million beneficiary students. Clarifying figures is that the 242 billion mark an earlier milestone reached by mid-2026 before expanding further. Now, the total disbursed as of August of this year is 322.69 billion naira. And then institutional fees is about 192.89 billion paid directly to 319 tertiary institutions. Upkeep stipends, 129.80 billion naira channeled directly to students for living expenses. Recent additions, the government expanded NEL Fund financial base for integrating recovered liquid assets, from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, alongside unclaimed dividend and dormant account funds. You saw that news where the government says these funds should be channeled to the NEL Fund. But then the scheme structure now, for eligibility, open exclusively to students in public tertiary and vocational institutions in Nigeria. Talk about the repayment. Repayment kicks off 2 years post-NYC via a 10% deduction from employed beneficiaries' salaries. Unemployed graduates are exempt until employed. But then, how would you assess this? If we have ASU doing strikes, and now we have more money to fund the NEL Fund, but then you do not have students in the classrooms to be taught by the lecturers, which is more productive? Which should be addressed first? Is it the lecturers getting back to class as opposed to more funding for NEL Fund so that more students can have access to loans? Or where's the problem now? Because foundationally, when you look at it, you can't have your school fees being paid when you don't have lecturers in class to then give you the education that you so have paid for. Ugochukwu, this is quite on the table now.
I mean, something that has been on the front burner in terms of achievements for this current administration. Time and time again, they would refer to this particular scheme as one that is meant to help millions of Nigerian students. And in fact, in 2 years, over 300 billion has been disbursed to almost 1 million Nigerian students. The figure that we have at the moment is 850,000 within 2 years of operation, making it one of the federal government's major intervention in expanding access to tertiary education. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk to say, look, we need to take our education sector serious. And one of the factors that seems to be working against education and the ability of students to attend school is the issue of tuition fees. And, you know, the government has just stepped in to say, look, we have to bridge that gap by offering what little help we can in addressing, you know, that particular gap. And 315 tertiary institutions, including federal and state universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, have been part of this. And eligible students are also receiving a monthly allowance upkeep of 20,000 naira. This is different from the payment of their tuition fees. And we also have to look at how this is helping out parents and the people who are sponsoring these students in higher institutions. If the government is now taking care of a part of it, it certainly does sound like a good thing. But we're also looking at the sustainability aspect of it. You know, is this something that perhaps if this government succeeds in securing re-election, is this something they can, you know, continue without putting a lot of financial burden on the economy? Already you're hearing the explanation from the Minister of Finance that it is the minimum wage, for instance, you know, that has gobbed a huge chunk of, you know, the monies that have been realized from the subsidy savings. So, you know, moving forward, is this something that we can sustain? Is this something that wouldn't be used as an excuse to say, oh, other sectors are suffering because we're putting a lot of money into this?
Now the questions have so many on the table. ASU is talking about strike, and then the government is funding NEL Fund and giving loans, more loans available for students to take on. You know, ASU has repeatedly raised concerns about government failure to fully implement agreement reached with the union. Now, at what point does the failure to resolve these recurring disputes become a bigger threat to the education system than lack of funding? If you say make more money available for students to take loans, but the lecturers who will come to the classroom to teach these students are on strike. So where should the priority be? Where should the focus be? And one concern is that we may be solving the problem of access without solving the problem of quality. What happens when students cannot afford university, but academic calendar remains disrupted, lecturers are not happy, and learning facilities are also not in good shape? So where should the priority be? Right now, we keep hearing, when you talked about this current administration, what achievements of the current administration, one of the key points, one of the top 5 achievements the government is going to mention is NEL Fund, student loans. But we saw the agreement between the government and ASU, and then it says there's no more strike. But here we are, still dealing with the same issue with ASU. Where do we go from here? Where should the priority be? You're part of the conversation. You can call us, listening to us via the radio. It's 090-6202-9933. If you're tuned to us on our live broadcast on YouTube, the Real Broadcasting Network, the numbers are displayed on the screen. But via the radio, it is 090-6202-9933. Let us know your thoughts about this. The federal government now giving out about 242 billion naira committed to the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. That's a NEL Fund now. The initiative is designed to make tertiary education more accessible, right? By providing financial support to students who may otherwise struggle to afford it. But on the other hand, we have lecturers who are also complaining of remuneration, the standard of lecturing, the infrastructure and all. So which should be the priority for the government? Let the money go to the NEL Fund, or let the agreement between the government and ASU be first of all be met before we now talk about funds? Good morning to you, Evangelist Kolo.
Good morning, my sister. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us. Go ahead.
Yes, on this loan that the federal government is always thinking that is achievement to them. For me, I don't think it's achievement, because I don't think any parent in Nigeria that has never been there for their children in terms of school fees. All these things they are trying to do with us, with our money, subsidy have been removed, and you are always telling us the land is soft land is soft loan. Now, how many people have enjoyed this loan now? I don't know whether you have enjoyed it or your children. But for me and my family and many people that I know, I've not enjoyed this. I've never even go close to this loan. So let them forget about this loan. You take this subsidy back. Let we be as we be before. We eat our food comfortably. We go work. We get money. Money are very valuable to us. Now, You owe 200,000 naira. 200,000 naira, you owe like 10,000 naira. Nothing for it to write home about. Now, Tinubu is hitting back Atiku by saying if they let him, he's going to
Let's
take
stick with
back.
Nelfund and ASU, and which should take precedence now. Is it the Nelfund to the students or lecturers getting back to the classroom? We understand all of the stories making rounds today. Evangelist
That's what I'm telling you. It's not helping us. Let them leave us with that. We are not begging government to give us loan. We are well-to-do people, and they pay us our money. We go carry our children to school. Let money, everything be normal. Nobody will cry for all these things. You are not even the lecturers now. They are going to go to strike again. So what are they talking about? How much are they paying them? Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution, Evangelist Kolo. I understand emotions is high when you talk about government and governance now, but let's keep it together. And we can achieve one common goal by speaking to the government, because when people actually speak, the government do listen. Trust me, they do. So let us know your thoughts. 090-6202-9933. Which should take precedence? Which should lead first? ASU says government has not even met with our agreement. The agreement we had with them, there was an announcement of 40% increase in salaries the other day. University of Jos came out to say, oh, I think we've seen ours. Some universities say, no, we haven't. So which should take precedence? The agreement between government and ASU, should it be met first so that lecturers can return to classroom and be comfortable at least for a while?
Yeah, and some of what ASU is saying is there are a lot of issues bedeviling the Nigeria's education sector that you cannot completely ignore simply because you want to cater to the tuition fees of students. However important that might be. It's a debate, right? And it's important that we put all of the cards on the table. Earlier, I mentioned sustainability, and even for the students. Okay, right after you're done schooling with funds, that was gotten from NELF, it's a loan. It's called a loan, which means you're supposed to pay back.
Right.
So what is the structure that's put in place to ensure that government gets back the money that it has spent? What is the machinery around that?
Your employers of labor will be giving the government the percentage you're supposed to pay back. So the system says
when you get a job.
Yes, when you are employed, the beneficiaries.
If you get a job.
Okay, if you get a job, because we understand when it's also unemployment now.
Yeah.
If you get employed and when you do not get glory be to God, you are not employed, right? The beneficiaries of this loan, the monies will be deducted from their employers. They understand that, oh, I'm a Nelfund recipient, right? So I'm owing the government. So every month, I think it's about 10% or so is deducted from my salary. So your employer is just like your tax that you pay. It's been deducted. So it's going to also be deducted from your salary and paid to the government. And for those who will be yet to be employed, will then now be waiting for them to be employed. So, but then when you're employed, how does the government know that you're not employed?
So you see,
and when you're not employed,
I
guess the system. Do we have a data that shows and analyzes that Mr. Lagbaja, who borrowed money for us, is now being employed with Lagbaja Incorporated?
Already, there are one or two discrepancies in terms of how much a school charges per session and how much is actually on the portal, right? Already we're having that debate, and obviously there is a committee within Nelfund, that looks into, a conformity of the figures that have been put forward by the schools and how much is being actually paid to them. Because we've had one or two of those situations where the school fees is, let's say, 10,000 naira, but what you're seeing on the portal is 100,000. So these are some of the safeguards the government would need to look out for. In 2011, of course, we had what is called the TET Fund, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, which catered to a great extent to some of the issues around Nigeria's education sector. And now, with the introduction of Nelfund, some people are saying, look, we don't necessarily have to do away with TET Fund. Let's still have TET Fund in place because it's catering to one or two issues that are really, really important when it comes to education. And then let's have the student loan scheme run alongside it. But ultimately, what will be the indices through which we're going to judge the success or otherwise of this NEL fund. TED fund was supposed to cater to infrastructure. Did it achieve its aim? Now we have NEL fund, obviously catering to the financial aspect of things now, especially as it has to do with the students. And there's also the question of how many students can it actually cater to? We have between 2.5 to 3 million Nigerian students as at the last time we had data on this subject, which was 2024. It could be higher than that figure now. And now we're hearing that in 2 years, it's catered to about 850,000. That's almost half, of the student population. Is it possible that it could reach more? Because, you have to also ask, what is the percentage of indigent students in universities and polytechnics and colleges of education, people who actually need the loans? One of the instances I was giving was, the son or the daughter of a professor, someone whose father is at the very top echelon in, the higher institution, but the name of his child is there. So what happens to the student whose parents are living in a village, who probably are not earning as much? So these are all some of the things that we need to start looking at.
Even the lecturers who are in the association now are asking for government to meet with their agreements are also parents. They also have children who are in the universities as well, whether public or private, which you are giving loans to. So how are they going to pay, waiting for their child to be gainfully employed after NYSC? So all of these conversations, they are all interwoven, right? So which should take precedence after the other? Like we said, you're part of the conversation. 090-6202-9933. If you're listening to us via the radio, it is Real 99.3 FM Abuja. We're taking a look at the government disbursement of all of these monies, directing the funds from EFCC recovered funds and all of that to NEL fund. But on the other hand, ASUU and the government are still back at the table discussing. Agreements have not been met. Agreements have been met. We're going to leave the classroom. We're out of the classroom. So if you have lecturers out of the classrooms and you have students who can pay for the school fees, who is now going to educate who? So you're in school, your school fees have been paid, but there's no lecturer in class. So which should take precedence? Which is more important? Which should the government look at first? And then when you look at even the state of learning of the classroom, the infrastructure now, at our varsities in Nigeria, a conducive environment yet. So which are we looking at? And then at the time before NEL fund was even introduced, could parents afford school fees before now that NEL fund is now introduced for you to pay? Because there's a hike in school fees. So if the school fees were left as it were, or if probably even reduced further, and then all of this NEL fund money were now channeled to making sure that the school is of standard of a place of learning, standard place of learning, and then the lecturers are well paid and their monies come in at the right time, which should have been priority for the government, which should have been more important rather than increase the high price of school fees and then give the people loan to take with a percentage to pay for the increase, or rather make the school fees affordable so the ordinary person, the ordinary woman, the ordinary parent who is a farmer can still put a cassava together and be able to pay for that school fees rather than hike it.
Well, it's also worth knowing that in terms of industrial action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, of course, it's synonymous that almost every Nigerian has gotten used to the fact that ASUU usually goes on strike. But perhaps one strong argument for the current administration also is that we've not had at least a prolonged industrial action since, they took over in 2023. The last major one was in 2022. Obviously, since 2023, there's been threats when, they threatened that, yes, we were going to go on strike, but eventually it didn't happen. So there is also that argument to say perhaps the government have been doing what they can in terms of negotiation, in terms of, trying to appeal to officials of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, and whatever they are doing is working, because we're not hearing of 3 months, 6 months, or some of those prolonged strikes. We've had quite a good number of them, about 18 strikes since 1999. In fact, if you went through the Nigerian educational system, universities and polytechnics, and you didn't have at least one major strike period, some people say you didn't really go to school.
Did you really attend a university in Nigeria?
Since 2023 till now, we've not had any major one.
Yeah.
So does it mean there's something the government is doing right in terms of those concerns, in terms of those agreements that were reached? Does it mean that they've been, actually addressing the concerns that have been raised by ASUU, or is there more that needs to be done?
I mean, currently we have ASUU issuing a warning strike to the government to say if you do not, come to the table for us to have discussions and we've had an agreement, but you've not met your own side of the agreement, we're going to go on strike. But then we also have the minister speak to some of these issues now. We'll quickly take it to that moment.
Has now directed that all seized funds by the Economic and Financial Crime Commission be diverted to NERFund to continue to support the funding of NERFund. The President also directed, and this was also approved by FEC, that all unclaimed dividends from the Capital Market Trust Fund and the Dormant Account Trust Fund, those unclaimed dividends should also be directed to NERFund, so that NERFund will be financially buoyant to meet its.
NERFund will be financially buoyant. That's the voice of Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa. He's the Honorable Minister of Education of Nigeria. Now, if NERFund is fully funded, students have access to loans. What about the lecturers who come to class? What about the infrastructure, the environment of learning? Is it conducive enough? These are conversations that we'll keep having until something concrete is done. And students can easily go to higher institutions and be rightly educated. I guess that's what we have to call it a wrap today.
Absolutely. A very robust conversation that will continue even way beyond now. But we want to thank you so much for your loyalty and for staying with us today. And in fact, for the rest, the entirety of the week has been quite the journey from Monday right up until this moment. Thank you so much for your calls, your messages, and your voice throughout the program, on the program. We can't wait to be with you again next week, but at the moment, you may have to just scoot over to our website at www.therealmediang.com or on any of our social media platforms at The Real Media NG, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on X, even TikTok. Just make sure you're following The Real Broadcasting Network, where you can stay updated with whatever is happening. Well, until next week, I am Ugochukwu Dumere.
And I am Marian Delegwe in the President's voice now.
Enjoy your weekend.
Always set the agenda here on the Real Broadcasting Network. See it, record it, and share it with us via the free Real Broadcasting Network mobile app for iOS and Android. It's simple. See it, record it, and share it to see it make news headlines. It is Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.
Jesus. My brother, see road now. If na Lagos now, traffic don't be. No go anywhere. But this is why I love Abuja. My brother, na city gate be this. Where you go see before you enter Abuja. If you enter Abuja and you never see this city gate, my brother, na Cameroon you dey. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. My brother, Abuja life too soft. After work like this, now here they come sit down. Then they see fine things that will be sonorous in my spirit. Now why I love Abuja with this? Unity for inside the diversity. Now what did they take to know Abuja for? Now why I love Abuja? You see this place my back? Luxury on another level. You feel the work inside. You don't know who you go meet who will change your life. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. But the real reason wey make me like Abuja na because of real 99.3 where e be say we dey chook mouth on top real talk and na real people and all of us go gather together to dey for chook mouth on top real matter.
Waiting for the news at the top of the hour? Don't worry, you can now get the news as it breaks. Download the Real Broadcasting Network free mobile app for Android, Play Store, and web to get breaking news alerts as the news breaks. Also, get more detailed perspectives on all major news reports when you visit our website, realmediang.com.
Every street has a story. Every struggle carries hope. Every dream deserves a voice. We walk where the people walk. We honor our culture. We tell the stories that matter. This is not just news. This is your story, your voice, your network. Real Broadcasting.
This is Real 993. Time check is 9 a.m. From our global news center, we bring you the latest happenings on the Real News.
This is the Arabian News Hour from the Real Broadcasting Network. I am Sufyan Ibrahim, and here are the top stars. The presidency has criticized former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's proposal to restore petrol subsidy if elected president, describing the policy as retrogressive and fiscally unsustainable. Special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said Atiku's position was a departure from his previous support for subsidy removal. He urged the former vice president to explain how the proposed subsidy would be funded and whether it is compatible with the changes in the petroleum sector. Mr. Onanuga described the former subsidy regime as wasteful and corruption-ridden, noting that the Petroleum Industry Act (PIA) made it illegal from June 2023. He said Nigerians deserve to understand the implications of reversing the policy ahead of the 2027 elections. Retired military personnel took to the streets in Abuja this week, demanding outstanding pension adjustment and arrears. But their struggle reflects a wider concern among retirees. Some are still waiting for pensions and gratuities after years of service. Stella Kalu had a chat with a retiree, and she tells us more.
The military pensioners' protest has put pension plight back in the spotlight, but their struggle is shared by other retirees. Mary Adamu, a former UBEC clerical officer, says she has waited months for her gratuity despite completing the required processes.
I worked for good 35 years when my file went. And now when they say, Mama, don't worry, go, your file is where they will calculate your money and send to your account. I say, okay, I'm happy. When I came back, nothing.
Even after completing her documentation, Mary says months of calls and follow-ups have yielded no results.
What they told me that when my file got to Area 3, that is pension office, they will not pay me my money. And before they will even pay, they were supposed to give me another letter. After today, nothing like that.
Her case comes against the backdrop of government efforts to clear outstanding pension liabilities. The Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate recently announced the payment of 3.8 billion naira in pension arrears to more than 30,000 pensioners. In July, another 39.6 billion naira was reportedly paid to over 24,000 retirees. Yet, for Mary and others like her, the waiting continues.
I want federal government to help me and pay me my sufferness when I suffer for government, so that I should take it and manage my family.
After years of labor for government, she says she wants authorities to remember the senior citizens who depend on these benefits to survive.
For Mary and others like her, this is more than just a delayed payment. It's about receiving what she has earned after years of service and being remembered in retirement. In Abuja, Stella Carlo, Arabian News.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, has assured that military retirees will benefit from consequential increases in their pensions whenever the salaries and emolument of serving personnel are adjusted. General Oluyede gave the assurance in Yola, Adamawa State, during an interactive engagement with military veterans from the Northeast. The retirees had protested over the failure to implement consequential pension adjustment following salary increases approved for 7 military personnel. The Chief of Defense Staff said the ongoing salary review for 7 personnel is all-inclusive and its implementation is already underway. At least 46 bodies have been recovered and 15 passengers rescued following a boat accident in Gorau community in Goronyo local government area of Sokoto State. The State Police Command said 77 passengers, including men, women and children, were on board when the boat capsized while conveying farmers and other passengers to their rice farms. The police spokesman, DSP Ahmed Rufai, said the rescue teams have so far recovered 46 bodies and rescued 15 people alive. Rufai said local divers, the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA, the State Emergency Management Agency SEMA, and the police are still searching for the remaining 16 passengers. The cause of the accident is yet to be established. And that is the Arabian News Hour. Thank you for staying with us on the Real Broadcasting Network. Stay informed with more stories on our website at www.therealmediang.com. Also download the Arabian app on Google Play Store and Apple Store for iOS devices. You can also follow us across all social media platforms at The Real Media NG for real-time updates and in-depth coverage. I am Sufyan Ibrahim. Good morning.
Our Global News Center. We bring you the latest happenings on the real news.
Jesus. My brother, see road now. If na Lagos na traffic go don dey, no go anywhere. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. My brother, na city gate be this. Where you go see before you enter Abuja. If you enter Abuja and you never see this city gate.
Glass house. Not what you think.
This glass house is a service apartment designed for your comfort in the city center of Jabi.
This is really a getaway space for you to have your conference, meetings, and family staycation.
With 20 plus apartments, fast internet, swimming pool, and a restaurant, you're truly having a good time at the Glass House.
Want to book? Call 0901 033 1551 or 0812 0077 You can also visit our website www.gidanka.com.
And web to get breaking news alerts as the news breaks. Also, get more detailed perspectives on all major news reports when you visit our website, realmediang.com. You can always set the agenda here on the Real Broadcasting Network. See it, record it, and share it with us via the free Real Broadcasting Network mobile app for iOS and Android. It's simple. See it, record it, and share it to see it make news headlines. It is Real Broadcasting Network. We the people. We know that you can't always wait for the news at the top of the hour. Don't worry, we got you. Check out the latest news headlines on our website, therealmediang.com. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people. Real Media on radio, on TV, and online. A part of Real Broadcasting Network.
Let's go!
Jesus. My brother, see road now. If na Lagos na traffic go don dey, no go anywhere. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. My brother, na city gate be this. Where you go see before you enter Abuja. If you enter Abuja and you never see this city gate, my brother, na Cameroon you dey. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. My brother, Abuja life too soft. After work like this, now here they come sit down. Then they see fine things that will be sonorous in my spirit. Now why I love Abuja with this?
unity for inside the diversity. Now wetin dem take know Abuja for? Now why I love Abuja. You see this place my back? Luxury on another level. You feel the waka inside. You don't know who you go meet wey go change your life. My brother, this is why I love Abuja. But the real reason wey make me like Abuja na because of real 99.3 where e be say we dey chook mouth on top real talk and na real people and all of us go gather together to dey for chook mouth on top real matter.
Every street has a story. Every struggle carries hope. Every dream deserves a voice. We walk where the people walk. We honor our culture. We tell the stories that matter. This is not just news. This is your story, your voice, your network. Real Broadcasting Network. We the people.